What's up, guys? Shocker. Um, Interesting series of events for me. We actually just had a car accident last night, was rear-ended by a drunk driver. Nobody is seriously hurt, but the kids are, pretty shook up from it mentally. You know, Interestingly enough, Ilka, baby mama, was hit by a drunk driver at the exact same corner, driving a version of the same van. And I had the same thing basically 2 years later happen. So I got a couple of scrapes and bangs, but I'm all right. What's up, Tala? Um, but we're physically okay, but I am a little shook up doing our little live today. I feel a little different. Feel actually a little extra grateful to be alive because, the old life flashes before your eyes was very real for me last night. You don't expect that you're going to get hit by a drunk driver, but it happened. Anyways, I won't beleaguer you with my stuff, but just letting you guys know that I might not stay as long today because, I want to be with my kids and stuff. Anyways, also announcement totally unrelated to the madness that just happened. What's up? Hello. Is We are going to be doing a end of June, a Loom workshop for those of you guys who want like convert your sales process over to video. I think it's extra awesome when you close in video because you end up with this salesperson that works 24/7. You don't have to worry about hiring and training and all those kind of things. And after years and years of doing this, what I realized it's actually better for the clients too. I realize actually how many clients hated sales calls just as much as you do. So if you guys want to come and get that like built in person, we're going to do it. I always try and do my stuff like super affordable. So it'll be probably like $800-ish. I'm going to, I can't make it zero because I got hotels and shit to pay for and flights and all that kind of shit. But I also don't want to make it an arm and a leg for you guys to be able to get that built. So if you guys are anywhere in and around Los Angeles, come and do that. I appreciate the positive energy. I'm feeling my eye, actually. I didn't even know, but I probably banged the steering wheel last night. But there's nothing serious. I just got bumps and scrapes and shit like that. And the kids didn't get anything because they didn't get the steering wheel. But the guy was a moron. So it happens, part of life. Anyways, let's get into the good shit. This is a half-hearted intro. Today, I'm like being real with you. It's very half-hearted, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings you our weekly Q&A. Actually, I didn't even notice I had I guess I did notice that. Okay, it's mirrored. Okay. Richard says first, does anyone work with home remodeling contractors? The answer to that question is lots. Like we have people in every niche, but I'll tell you, there's a couple of really popular ones, and contractors is one of those. It's one of the like top 3 most chosen niches. So yes, do we have anybody doing it? Not only is the answer to that question a yes, it's a lot of people. So just so you know, with niches like that where there's a lot of agencies in them, there's pros and cons to every niche. And by the way, most niches are viable. Like 98% of niches are viable. Like people get way too hung up on picking a niche. It's more just because it makes your scaling life easier and you'll make more money per client as a specialist. But with the competitive niches, I call it the most hit on girl at the bar. So like if you imagine there's a bar and like a girl who gets hit on all day, every day, like she's going to be quicker to reject you. She's going to be a little more defensive and things like that. So like, that's just a side effect of being in home contractors is you got to like really nail your shit a little tighter than other niches, as where if you like we're working, actually, I have a partnership deal I'm working on in a military defense contractor kind of dealio. And there ain't no other agencies in that space at all. So like that girl's never been hit on ever. And she's like, holy shit, a guy's hitting on me. Right. So, there's pros and cons, but the flip side of that is we have longer runway. Contractors tend to be easier to reach, faster to do business. They're also faster to cancel. But, like I say, there's pros and cons in every niche. Master Chef. What I struggle with is the ads to Messenger to Loom, poor results to none. Hi from Sarasota. What's up, Bob? Bob Donovan, dude. What's up? Well, I'll come back to that question in a second, but like first thing I always look at is, I mean, are they even clicking on the ad? If they're not clicking on the ad, then that's where you troubleshoot. Second question is, okay, so they're going to your messenger. Are they falling off in the messenger? Are they not telling you shit? Are they requesting information and then going cold? So like if that's where they're falling, you got to troubleshoot that. Usually, by the way, it's not the Loom video. That's the issue. It's the where you start is where you're finished. Like I always say, like my first way of testing is what I call a hand raiser, but it's kind of like if I say, hey, my neighbor Jenny's really interested in dating you, and you say, hell no, Jenny's butt ugly. Like, it don't matter if I send you more messages and more videos. You're not going to date Jenny if you think she's butt ugly. Flip side of that is if you say, hey, she's really cool and I really like her. Tell me more about how she's interested in me. You know, chances are you'll probably date her and you'll probably like at least, you know, go on a date and, you know, get connected and things like that. Maybe it won't work out, but so that's why I say like a lot of troubleshooting is like just looking at the metrics of like, are they getting stuck at the first domino, the second domino, the third, and just troubleshooting it one at a time and moving them through there. I actually just recorded a video for this channel, by the way, walking you guys through how I do video conversion start to finish from like cold to sold, which there's 4 basic steps. So as soon as my editor's done working through that, usually it takes about 2 to 4 weeks to work through our machine. So you guys will see it in the next couple of weeks, but walks you through exactly how we do like the entire video conversion process. But directed them from Loom video straight, gets good results, but no one buys. Oh, well then actually usually, and I mentioned that by the way, in this video, is that the first iteration you make of a video is unlikely to make sales right away. And especially if you don't really super well know your niche. But what it'll do is it'll reduce the sales process because a lot of the information they need to decide is reduced. And a lot of times people don't realize if they didn't buy, that doesn't mean they're not interested. It just means they're in like what I call shades of gray, right? So I'll give you a real example. Like I was looking at a car to buy, and then I had a trip, and then like I cooled off on buying that car, but I'm not a zero. I'm like 80%. Like that we had an accident last night, I'm like for sure going to buy a car. Like I got no choice, right? I got to buy another car if I want to get around. And so a lot of it is what you do to get them over the remaining 20%. And I call that follow-up. And the way most people do follow-up is like, did you see my thing? Did you look at my proposal yet? The best way to do follow-up is to remind them of what they want. Hey, I know you were really interested in those category 3 flood jobs. And then show them a piece of your process and go deeper on it, how it will help you. So for example, if I was doing SEO, a piece of the process is like keywords. So I could be like, man, these keywords would really crush it for you. Like you know, like restoration or water damage or emergency flood cleanup, Omaha, like that one is perfect for you because you guys want these jobs in Omaha. Right? They don't care about everybody's keywords. They just care about the ones that are relevant to them. Then I might show them like, hey, you want this? What about these changes to your website? And I can do follow-up endlessly. And a lot of it, you're actually talking like you're working together. So if you got people who clicked an ad, watched the thing, had a conversation with you and didn't buy, then there's a little bit of follow-up to get them across the finish line. And as you learn your market better, you'll be able to close them more in video. But usually the first iteration, just, you know, the very like version 1.0 of the video, it doesn't clear the sale, and you still have like manual effort to get them to 10-20% over the hump. What's the best method for getting clients for local business, SEO, marketing, or ads? I'll tell you what my best method is. My best method is to pick a niche, research their problems, come up with a solution to what they really want, and then find everybody in that space who has an audience of buyers and co-create stuff with them because it'll amplify your stuff 1,000 times faster. I'll give you an example, okay? Let's say you're trying to break into the dental industry, right? If I was trying to break into the dental industry, which I'm not, but like let's just say I was, what everybody teaches is send them cold DMs. Like, and if you send dentists cold DMs, like 90% of them are going to get deleted by the gatekeeper. Like the dentist isn't even going to fucking see it. Like you can send it. And how long would it take you to send 1,000 messages or 10,000 messages? I would rather message one person who has a dental podcast that's listened to by 10,000 dentists and say, hey, here's a really cool show idea we should do together. I get on the show. Then all of a sudden 10,000 dentists discover me. And then, it's not unusual, 5, 10, 15, 20 of them to reach out to you and say, hey, I need your help with that thing you were talking on the podcast. So what I do is I figure out everybody's got a buying audience. And then there's a step 2 to that down the road is when I get, say, like a podcast that works, or a magazine article that works, or a conference stage talk that worked. I record that shit and I turn those recordings into paid ads and I amplify them even more. And part of the reason it works, by the way, is because like for example, when I did stuff in restoration, I did it in the industry association. They have trust that marketers don't. Like, people trust the industry association. They don't trust a random marketer in their inbox. So if they say, hey, I found you in the restoration industry association, that means something to them, that if they just say, hey, you sent me a cold DM. So like, that's where I'm at with that. It's like, that's my favorite way of growing an agency. There's more than one way to grow an agency, by the way. Like, there's not the way, but I'm telling you how I do it personally. Yes, sir. Facebook blocked me from sending friend requests, so that's why I'm turning to ads to get my first sale. Yeah, ads are awesome, by the way. I like doing ads, so I'm not against that. Heather says, hello. Heather, I got you lined up in the questions, but you can re-ask it if you want. Do I support Israel or Palestine? Honestly, okay, I'll tell you something. This is actually like an important topic right here that I'm just going to briefly touch on. I've learned, if you want to live a good life, there's a small bubble of things called things directly in my control. What I eat, what clients I work with, do I take care of my kids, my family, my house, my own personal health, what I put into my body. And then there's a much bigger bubble called shit I have no control over. Israel, Palestine, this politician, that politician. I'll tell you, as a general rule, you'll have a much better life if you stay in the bubble called things I control. So it's not that I'm oblivious to those things. It's just that I don't put my focus on them because there's nothing I can do about it anyway. Right. So, okay, I support Israel or I support Palestine. What difference does it make in the grand scheme? Like, they're not going to stop fucking warring with each other. They're going to be like, oh my God, Frankie Finn with his 9,000 internet followers supports us. Let's stop doing this. Like, they don't care. Right. So I'm not saying you shouldn't get involved in those causes. I'm not telling you guys how to live your life. I'm just saying I spend a lot of time obsessing about the bubble called within my control, my income, my offers, my clients, my family, my health, because that's the only shit I have control over anyway. And I find the more I stay in my lane and focus on those things, the better I have a personal life. So that's my way I'm intentionally avoiding the question because I don't give a shit. But by the way, Mel Gibson is an awesome username, by the way. Hey, Frankie from Quebec City. I had a question. How do you stay positive and keep going in business when everything seems fucked right now? Looming recession and all. Some days are harder than others. I mean, just so you guys know, I'm not like always positive. There's a couple of habits I have that really help. One of those is I keep a gratitude journal every day. And I find the more you focus on the things that are going right in your life intentionally, by the way, like when you keep a gratitude journal, what you do is you write down, like, the first thing you write down, you won't feel overwhelming gratitude. It'll almost be like you have to force it. You have to like, I wake up, I'm tired, I'm cranky. And I remember actually when I first started keeping a gratitude journal, like the only thing I could think of in the morning when I felt tired, my kids woke me up too early, was just like, oh, at least I got a comfy chair to sit in and I don't have to rush off to some job. That was it. Like, those were the two things. And then, you start finding a third thing, and eventually, like, you find 15 or 20, and then you actually start to feel a little bit of gratitude, and it grows and it grows and it grows. And I also do the same thing with wins. I keep a wins journal of just like, I'll show you guys them real quick, actually, if I can find them. Some of them are a little buried under books right now, but I have a, gratitude journal I keep, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of just it's all little things, just, like lots of little things that add up to a big life. And I keep a vision board and just look constantly at what I'm working towards. That's what you guys see behind me is my vision board, what I'm building towards. So I stay very just like focused on where I'm going. And not just like woo, like, I'm going to manifest it, but I take like strategic actions towards it. Like, one of the things I have a section on there for stuff. And I was like, man, I really want a Nintendo Switch. And I'm like, I'm too old for a Nintendo. And then one day I was just like, I'm going to buy myself one. And I went and bought myself one. By the way, I've Ilke and I had some wild adventures in Quebec City. Cool little story. We were sitting down, and there were two restaurants in Quebec City, right across the street from each other. One of them had pizza, and one of them had French onion soup. And she was like, "Man, I really want pizza, but I really want French onion soup." And we sat there and we're like, "Well, we're entrepreneurs. We don't have to make a decision A or B." I was like, "Let's have both. Let's have a French onion soup as an appetizer, and we'll go across the street and eat a pizza." And she's like, "Can we do that?" I was like, "Fucking right, we can." And I think a lot of times in life, people are presented with choices. You can have A or B, and they limit themselves to, okay, I must choose one or the other. And I'll tell you, one of the most obvious A or B seems like a conflict: time, money. Time, money. And it feels like, okay, I can make a bunch of money but have no time, or I can have a bunch of time and be broke. And one of the best questions you can ask yourself is, how can I have both? How can I have time and money? How can I like build some leverage into this so I can get both? Um, if I'm selling an AI receptionist, should I put the demo on the Loom video or on a separate sales call? I put the demo on a Loom video. Just so you know, so we got a few people selling AI receptionists, and I'll tell you how we sell it. So firstly, most people don't care about the AI receptionist. I call that the hammer. That's like your vehicle to deliver a result. Just like if you go to a personal trainer, you just want abs and to lose weight. You don't care about kettlebells and which workout you're going to do. You don't give a fuck about any of those details. I mean, they will matter at some point, but they're minor, right? Like you just want to, can you get me in shape? Yes, I can get you in shape, and you need to show up an hour a day, 5 days a week. Okay, cool. I can do that, right? Um, so, um, so what I was going to say with that is what we're selling them is the problems it solves and the outcomes it creates. So, like we're doing this a few of the people in our mastermind in contracting niches. So the problems that are solved by an AI receptionist are the sheer number of spam calls they get, and it helps to be specific about what kind of spam calls they get. So we say, like, we got a video, for example, a Loom video that Chris created. It goes, shows a roofing truck, and it says, "How many times are you driving in the truck?" And then bing, phone rings, and it's Angie's List. It's somebody looking for a job, or it's somebody going, "We'll get you top Google, #1 Google ranking," right? And it said, what if instead we could just book the homeowners on your calendar so that anybody who is serious would get scheduled as an estimate in your system? We can do that with our AI receptionist. Now you're probably thinking it doesn't sound that good. Let me play a demo of how good the AI receptionist actually is for a fraction of the cost. And then we play a demo. And that's like most of the sales pitch, just so you know. Sorry, I'm getting falling behind a little bit in the questions. Heather, I just realized I should put something else in here. I'm the UGC creator that posted last night. Yeah, Heather, I'm actually going to just go read your question. It's a little bit out of order, but since you're here, let's do it that way. She says, "Hello, what is the next best step?" Hello, everyone. I'm Heather. I'm a UGC creator. For those of you guys who are not familiar with that, that stands user-generated content. And my husband and I have produced over 2,000 direct response video ads for brands. The work has been very successful, but is naturally limited by time since we are on the camera, or we are the on-camera talent. My background is a mix of creative and performance marketing. Managed successful e-commerce campaigns, ran meta ad campaigns for state-level political races, built and monetized niche SEO sites, ghost wrote a long-running blog focused on Facebook ads. It's a broad mix, but it comes from years of hands-on experience. Now I'm looking to turn that experience into a business I can scale over the next 2 to 3 years. My goal is to build something that allows me to lead strategy, outsource execution, and create more flexibility in my life. A friend recommended me Beyond Agency and Frankie's model. Yay, me. After reading most of the book and seeing this group, I decided to join. There's clearly a lot of valuable activity here. I'm comfortable investing in courses and filling skill gaps, and I have strong experience hiring and managing freelancers. I've explored the Beyond Agency offerings, but I'm unsure what the next best step or which direction to take. Right now, I'm leaning towards working with local businesses. I like the idea of building repeatable systems and developing strong relationships within communities. At the same time, I'm trying to avoid information overload. There are lots of paths to choose from, and I'm still running my current client work while building the next phase. Time is limited, but I'm ready to put in focused effort and would like to make meaningful progress before mid-August when Q4 demands ramp up for UGC. So my question is, if you were in my position, what would your next step be? Would you invest in a course, start investing, executing immediately, or take a different approach? I'm at the stage where I want to move forward, but I'm not sure which decision will create the most momentum. So I'm going to give you a very, very useful piece here, Heather. Firstly, what I would say to you guys is, just so you know, Don't buy my courses unless you know exactly how you're going to use them. Like they're tools designed. So like if you're trying to send outreach and you're stuck on outreach, buy the fucking outreach course, but don't just buy the outreach course for the sake of it. You know, if you're trying to raise your prices and we got a premium clients course, buy it, but don't just buy it just to buy it. Like they're situational when you need them. Having said that, so a lot of what I'm hearing in your case, Heather, is a lot of the issue is a model issue. And I didn't realize this, but whenever you make money, so you're doing a lot of on-camera user-generated content, and you're the star on the screen, is what most people don't realize is the constraint is every time you make a sale, you make a lot of effort for yourself. And I want to tell you a story of somebody else who went through something similar that unpacked it. Because if you understand this, and I'll give you the key lesson in this at the end. But so Scott is a guy in our Facebook group, and Scott works with mortgage brokers. In the beginning, he wasn't really niched down in mortgage brokers, but he had a bunch of them like in sort of like different real estate niches. They were all kind of like in real estate. So he'd had some agents, some brokers, some property managers, shit like that. And same as you, he was doing videos for them to help them run YouTube ads. That was his like bread and butter specialty. And the issue is like none of those guys have videos to be able to run on YouTube. So he would have to take a film crew, go to their physical location, record them, script them, talk the client through. And it would take like a day and a half to get all the videos done. And a lot of times, like, you know, mortgage brokers and realtors, they suck on camera. So they like wouldn't even come out good after all that effort. And he was unable to scale his agency because every time he signed a client, he had to hire a film crew, go to them, figure it out, script it. And then there's like scheduling conflicts, like how's your Tuesday the 17th? One day, Scott had the realization that most of my clients are mortgage brokers, and I know how to help the mortgage brokers the most. What if instead of going to them and filming it, what if I just made the video and I recorded myself and I said, hey, we can save you money. Like basically like we can lower your rate. And if you're interested, fill out this thing. And then he created like what I would call like a survey landing page, which is kind of like simulates a consultation. So like how much money do you invest? What's your monthly payment? If we can save you money, would you be willing to move forward? Just like, you know, questions like that. A survey landing page where it's like interactive, asks you questions. And Scott ran it as a test for a mortgage broker. So instead of filming with the mortgage broker, it was a video of Scott. And he filmed it and sent him to the page. And to his surprise, because he knew what to say and what to do, that video started generating leads for the mortgage broker like instantaneously on day one. And he started getting deals and the guy was super happy. And so then he signed up another mortgage broker and he said, instead of going and filming them, why don't I just give him my video again in my landing page? And something interesting happened, which is that how long do you think it took him to set up when he already had the video and he already had the landing page? 10 fucking minutes, right? 10 minutes. The client campaign was running and it was working and they were stoked. They're like, holy shit, we've never had an agency that we hired that got us results in the first 24 hours. We're already getting mortgage applications. We're already getting deals. And they were like, holy shit, I can't believe this worked. So the moral of the story, just so you know, is in scenario one, Scott's income came from service. Service is you pay me money, I'll do a thing for you. You pay me money, I'll do a thing. And in Scott's second, like refined business model, his income came from what I call digital assets. You give me money, I'll take my winning video and put it into your business. You give me money, I'll take my winning landing page and put it into your business. And since that video and landing page already exists, like he had to change the call to action slightly and personalize it a little bit, but it was ready to go. And so what happens is when he built the second model, he became a millionaire, just so you know, because the second model just scaled 1,000 times easier. So when he used to get a client, he would create all this effort and films and booking and crews and editing and all this shit. Now he's just like, I'll take my video, install it in your thing. 10 minutes later, client campaign's running. Oh, we're getting leads. It's amazing. So what I would tell you is pick a niche. It really doesn't matter which one you like working with, where you can create a video or a series of videos that create conversion for a client for a desirable thing that they'd like to sell that doesn't require them to do them, where you can reuse the same videos over and over and over and over. And if you want to scale this thing, get out of the I'm the custom video person and get into the I own digital assets. And this, you have to change your thinking a little bit. Robert Kiyosaki talks about this like Rich Dad Poor Dad. He says you want your money to come from assets. Like you have to almost think about it like a digital landlord. Like how does a landlord get paid? Well, they rent access to your fucking thing. That's how a landlord gets paid. Like you live in my apartment building, you're going to pay a monthly access fee, right? So to me, rather than renting services, you're renting access to a system you own and control. I actually stumbled into one of these accidentally where I was just talking to a friend of mine, Luke. He had built a motorcycle case lead system for attorneys. And I said to him, Luke, like that thing is genius. And the reason it was genius, because it's what I call their $100 bill, their most expensive thing. I said, how's that system going? And he said, actually, we're not using it. And I went, not using it? He said, yeah, we've graduated to even bigger stuff. We're doing class action lawsuits, which are called in the industry mass torts. And I was like, so you're not doing anything with those ad system? And I said, would you ever sell it to me? Would you ever let me use your ad system? And he said, yeah, I would do that. And I said, well, what do you want for it? And he said, give me a day and I'll think about it. He came back the next day and said, I want $450 per client, and said to me, I actually have 2 clients that have been waiting for this system. I'll just give it to you, or I'll give you those 2 clients, and then you can pay me $900 after you sign them up. So I got paid $5,000 to buy the system from 2 clients, and then I gave him $900 net, $4,100 before, virtual assistants and various expenses and stuff. But and those were recurring, so I got like a $5K a month recurring to buy the system. And what I realized is, if I'm selling service and I'm going, hey, hire me and I'll do Facebook ads and hopefully we can figure it out, it's not as valuable to the client if I show up with digital assets where, hey, we have a working system to get motorcycle case leads, sign up and I'll install it into your business. It's a way better promise to the client. Like the custom work is less valuable to the client. So what I'm telling you, Heather, is what you need to figure out is how you can start. You have thousands of videos. So what you're doing right now is every time you make a video, you get paid once for that video. Make video, get paid once. Make video, get paid once. You need to start asking yourself, make video, get paid 100 fucking times for the same video. And when you do that, by the way, your business will scale easier because video scales easier than custom work all day, every day. That's why I'm so big on video closing. So before you buy any products or courses or anything like that, I would suggest figure out how you can reuse shit in your model. And I promise you, it'll be better for the clients. When the mortgage brokers were like, oh, I got to sit with Scott and film and, he's going to edit it and eventually we'll launch some YouTube ads. That's not nearly as valuable as let me launch this shit. And within 24, 48 hours, you'll start having people apply to do mortgages with you. And Scott's just reusing the same video. Like Scott's in hundreds of markets as the mortgage guy. He's not a licensed broker. He's just the guy in the ad. Anyways, I hope that's helpful. What up, Frankie? I'm going after the workshop method I saw from Rebecca on your channel. I got interested from Facebook group hand raisers, but can't land a call yet. Should I send a cold email, Loom? That's certainly our way to do it. What you most actually want to figure out is what you're going to help them sell on the workshop. So clients care a great deal about who they're going to get. So in Rebecca's case, she does it for karate studios. They care about monthly recurring students, right? So that's what the workshop is about. If I could get monthly recurring students and do it all in a workshop. So, I usually say there's lots of ways to get in front of clients. They all work, but they don't work if you don't have something they want. So get really clear on who I'm going to bring you and make sure that's desirable. And if you don't know the answer to that, that's how I built my market research bot that you guys are welcome to swipe and deploy. Just run it. It'll tell you what motherfuckers be wanting. Let's put a link for that in there. Kyle Campbell. What would be your cold calling strategy and pitch for selling an AI receptionist to local businesses? Yeah, as I mentioned, so just so you guys know, this is a thing that most people don't realize is when a business hires you, probably about 75, 80% of the sale in their mind is they're buying their way out of a problem and not into your solution. So what most people talk about is the 20%, our AI voice receptionist, our SEO package. And they give no fucks about that. So what you want to do is articulate the problems that are showing up now. And I'm telling you right now, in almost every industry, the problem is spam calls. It's Angie's List. It's robocalls. It's, hey, we're looking for a job. Y'all hiring. It's like those kind of things. So you got to figure out who's spam calling your industry. And if you're not sure, by the way, you can ask AI. You can say, who spam calls my niche the most? And you want to give specific names. So like if I was doing this in legal space, I'd be like, hey, do you ever get phone calls from Justia, Avo, and Scorpion, and like they just hammer you on the phone? They're like, yeah, well, what if I can make it so those calls disappeared and instead you just got like the client bookings into the calendar and you didn't have to fucking deal with all that bullshit, right? It's not the AI receptionist. Like what it is and why they're buying it are different things. What it is an AI receptionist. Why they're buying it is to make my problem go away, to create this outcome. So you just have to be clear on the problem, which is why I said use a market research bot for that. I got Sigilo website. I have a bad English accent. How can I go to a Zoom meeting with clients with it? How can I create videos on YouTube with bad accent like Indian? Well, obviously, I mean, any little bit you do to improve your English will help, and you can use ChatGPT to clean it up. Good news is though, you can do a lot of closing, like almost all of it, just over text. So like everybody knows me as the Loom video guy, but it actually the same pitch format works just as well in a Google Doc written, especially for those of you guys who are like English as a second language. And the magic of a Google Doc versus a Loom video is you can slow it down. You don't have to say a line perfect because you're just typing it, and you can get it all like sort of perfect that way. And then I just handle the conversations in text. Like when I have a new offer and I'm trying to figure out what clients want, I don't jump on the phone with them. I just text, email, messenger. Can I ask you a question? Blah, blah, blah. So I would just do that and then handle the fixing the spelling and grammar. Like just run everything through ChatGPT before you hit send. Go, hey, can you help me fix my spelling and grammar? Because I get it. I'm less, so just so you guys know, I speak, depending on how you measure it, 4 or 5 languages badly. So ghetto English, as you guys have noticed. But I also speak German. I speak Spanish. I speak some French. And I speak actually a native jungle dialect that I learned through my ayahuasca experiences. And in all those languages, I'm not as confident as I am in English, right? You just, because you don't know what to say and you have to talk around it. So if I was selling in those languages, I would for sure go through like text-based things where you can slow it down and you can take 30 seconds to respond. Because if you have to like speak in your not native language at full speed, it's going to be harder. I'm just starting to work as a seller at an AI receptionist company with AI solutions. What is the pain point I should focus on? What is the companies I sell to that have a problem with? Like I said, the spam. Like what you need to know, by the way, is, like I said, besides the spam, actually, the amount of spam calls is who they're losing as a result of it. Like if they're running ads or paying for stuff and they're not answering the phone. The other thing you can sell them, by the way, is what I call evenings and weekends, right? It's just like, hey, you do a great job answering the phone Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. But what happens if a client calls at 7:30? You guys just let it go to voicemail? Well, a lot of them don't leave voicemails. You'll just never hear from them again. What if we could take those calls, filter them, sort them, put them on the calendar, and actually like bring you a patient, bring you a thing? So it's a combination of that. It's a combination of the spam calls, the money they're losing now, the after hours. Like those are the things you want to demonstrate. What you don't want to do is go like, hey, do you want an AI voice receptionist? There's not a plumber alive who woke up and said, I want an AI voice receptionist. This is brilliant. Thank you. Right now, I'm in the talent for the agencies and brands. This is a great shift. Yeah, totally. And you probably won't be in e-commerce when it's all said and done, Heather, just because, every store has a different product. So it's hard to like repeat that. But like, mortgage brokers all sell the same thing. Plumbers all sell the same thing. HVAC installers all sell. So it's probably going to be a local business. It doesn't have to be, but it's probably going to be. But you want to get paid for the videos you own and control, just not for your service. Don't be a service provider. I'm live. Yeah. After the Loom video, do you send them the payment link via mail? And is there an onboarding call? We don't do any onboarding calls. I'll tell you that. I'm like, fuck that shit. Like our video stuff is throughout. So I tell them, like, I say, hey, we update you through video. If you guys want to jump on calls and have meetings, that's totally fine, but we're not going to be the agency for you. But I'm going to keep you over informed and update. I'm going to do that through little videos like these. If that works for you, let me know. If it doesn't, like, don't buy the shit. And they're usually like, no, I didn't want to do meetings with you either. That's what I've learned. We also do our hiring through video, just so you know, as well. I send videos to people. But as far as payment links, it depends. If it's a new offer, I usually don't send the payment link until they agree to it. And then I say, okay, can I send you the payment link? When they say, okay, I want to do this, let's get started. And the reason I do that is because they can object to your plan and your process and the money. And I don't want to give them two reasons to say no in the beginning. But once I'm used to hearing people say yes, I literally just put the video on a page with a button and say, buy it. And then you just fucking buy it. And I don't talk to anyone. But typically in the beginning, it's normal to ask them to tell you they're in and then send the payment link. And then that's typically how we do it. I don't want to be an ecom. Yeah, ecom is a tricky thing because their real issue is margins. And it's hard to fix that with user generated content. Like for them to work at scale, there's other pieces they need in their business that you can't always provide. And so they'll blame you a lot for ad costs and front end things that are like beyond your control. I've built a white label AI visibility solution. We have a couple marketing agencies we're doing it for. We get systematized, consistent results, great margins, built to scale. How do I 100x this? You need to find everybody like me that has an agency audience and make some deals happen so you can accelerate this and or put some paid ads into it and scale it faster. I will tell you, I think there's a huge need for what you're doing. I had this conversation with someone else. I'm like, there's all these white label solutions for like SEO and pay-per-click, but I'm like, AI is the future. And there's very few like, agency like, like white label solutions for like, I'll build the tech for you so you can go sell it. But I think that's a smart model, just, Frankie, what was your deliverable for your lawyer clients and was it close to the golf hole? I've had a few over the years. So we had 3 distinct ones that I can think of. So the first couple of years, I just ran Facebook's for your standard motor vehicle accident case. And we ran Facebook ads. It was as far from the hole as we could get. But in the beginning, the reason I did that, Paul, is because in the beginning, Facebook ads were really cheap. So it actually didn't matter that was far for the hole because you could spend a lot of money. And like, if you just bring them one $20,000 person, even if you spent $3,000 to do it, they still netted 17 grand, right? So that was part of the reason. Over time, we've seen Facebook ads go up, which is what every ad platform does, by the way. It's not like unique to Facebook. Eventually, we switched over to the motorcycle case stuff when I bought that system. And that was like more their $100 bills. Let me bring you the expensive cases. And then eventually I came up with a close to the whole solution that I called digital omnipresence. And it was basically, I did it for the big personal injury lawyers who spend a lot of money. So some of these guys spend like, $500,000 a month or more on advertising. And it's the most expensive local business niche on earth. And they drive all this fucking traffic. And then most of the traffic, according to Google, doesn't convert, like 95%. So I just help them run really giant retargeting campaigns. I'm like, these are the people who almost bought. It's super cheap to retarget them. Let's just blast your shit everywhere. Show them all your best reviews, testimonials, videos, social media. Let's just hammer them with everything. And cool thing is they were always driving new traffic. So the ads were always new to somebody. So I could set it up once and not need to update it. The only reason I actually stopped doing that is because Google, started becoming really, really difficult about the word injury. They're like, we don't like you running retargeting ads in medical. I'm like, it's not medical. It's a fucking attorney. But like, you can't really argue with Google. And it was just becoming a pain in the ass to get ads live at some point. So it's like, and I have big partnerships and stuff where I'm like, I didn't really need the money. So it's just like, fuck that. Like, I don't want to deal with Google. How can I get replies on DMs? Most of them give me seen. How can we help you? Well, you got to give me some context of what you're sending to who. The actual most important part of a DM, by the way, is who you're sending it to. If you send it to the wrong person, I compare this, like most of the people in your industry are not buyers. So if I say, hey, I want to sell some barbecue pork ribs. And then I start DMing people who are like part of the Jewish vegetarian community. I don't care how good your DM is. You're not selling any ribs. They're Jewish, so they don't eat pork. And they're vegetarian, so they don't eat any meat. So you can like have the best rib offer in the world. You're just talking to the wrong person. But if you talk to somebody who's like at the Kansas City Barbecue Fest last week and you message them, your DM has like 100x chance of working. So like a lot of what makes outreach work that people miss is who the fuck are you sending messages to in the first place? And then I'll tell you the big mistake I get with messaging is most people talk about the wrong person and the wrong thing. The wrong person is you, and the wrong thing is your service. The right thing is them, and the right thing is their problems and what they want. And you'll know you have this right, by the way, like with the simple thing is, do your sentences start with I, we, us, or your business name? Then you're talking about you, and they don't care. They're never going to care about you. If you're saying you, your, notice this thing about you, and it's about them, then you're going to be much better shape. Those are the biggest mistakes I see with cold DMs. Like you're not even sending it to people who could buy it. And then you're talking about you and your service, which they'll never care about. But it's hard to say without context. Frankie, mental stuff, man. How do you get over that it's not going to work because of XYZ? Out of my own, after working with agencies for 8 years, feel handicapped, build AI, just continue marketing. Well, here's a question I have for you. Okay. What platform have you been on that does not have advertising? Okay, you drive down the highway, billboards. Turn on the TV, commercials. You go to Google, you search ads. You go on Facebook, every fucking third post is an ad. Do you think they'd be doing that if advertising didn't work? Do you think there would be that many people worldwide trying to disseminate messaging if it didn't work? So to me, it's not a question of does putting yourself out there works. It clearly fucking works. The probably bigger thing is the self-doubt of, can I make this work? And I'll tell you, if you want to make your advertising work, get out of your own head about it being you and get into what your target client wants. It's not about you. It's never been about you, right? Just so you guys know, I feel like I wrote a book and I feel like I had 100 great ideas about growing an agency. And the two things people ask me the most about are Loom videos and outreach. So most of my day, by the way, is spent talking about Loom videos and outreach. Do you think that's because I personally want to talk about Loom videos and outreach? Loom videos I like talking about. Outreach, just so you guys know, I despise talking about outreach, and I answer 50 questions a day about it every day. Why? Because it's what you guys want to know, right? So like, if you're feeling handicapped, you're making it about you. It's not about you. The plumber don't give a fuck who you are. Plumber doesn't care if you have like a mysterious third testicle or, you got divorced that today. Like I mentioned at the start of this, for you guys are in there, I had a fucking car accident last night. Are you guys watching this? Do you give a fuck that I had a car accident? I know you do on some level, but at the same time, you're not here because, of what's going on in my personal life. You're here because you want to grow your own agency and grow your own offers and scale them and make money. And so it's more about what you're trying to gain from them. So like, if you're feeling stuck, stop fucking being a pussy and make it about you. And I always say, you don't have to become Mother Teresa and spend all day thinking about your target client, but spend anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour per day. Shut you and your problems off. Think about them and their problems and what they're trying to do and get in their fucking reality, solve their problems. And then you can go back to being a selfish asshole when you're done. And if you do that, like the mental stuff will stop getting in the way because the mental stuff is all about you. Advertising works. You're questioning whether you can make advertising work. And the only reason you think, can I make advertising work, is because it's like, you're making it about you. It's not about you. It's never been about you. Did you fulfill the digital omnipresence with GHL? Also, would like the digital omnipresence work for other niches like solar? It works in any niche, dude. Like any niche where follow-up is required, which is most niches. Any high ticket niche. So like, it doesn't really work for like really small ticket impulse things. Like, you go to the grocery store, you buy a Snickers bar. Like that's a binary, yes, no, want it, don't want it. But there's a lot of like higher ticket things that are a process. All high ticket things are a process. Like I'm buying a car. Which car am I going to get? I'm going to get this dealership. I'm going to buy a fucking Honda, Toyota, Ford, whatever, right? Like there's lots of little micro decisions. So it's a process. Okay, we'll go to a dealership. We'll test drive. We got to go register it. It's like, it's a process, right? So anytime it's a process, follow-up helps. How we actually set that up is I installed 2 pixels. I installed the Google retargeting or remarketing pixel, as they call it, and the Meta one. And with Meta, you get to retarget them 2 places, Facebook and Instagram. So we created between 5 and 10 ads on both of those platforms. And just so you know, This was their best content, not me creating ads. So it was more organizing than creating. So I'd find their best Instagram posts of all time, their best Facebook shit, and their best testimonials and all those things, and I would organize it. On Google Pixel, lets you do 3 places that we used it for. It lets you do YouTube. So again, I would find their best YouTube videos. It lets you do Google Display, which is on all kinds of weird like sports and news sites, like little banner ads and shit like that. And we would create a series of banners for them, usually highlighting their Google reviews. And then it also lets you do search. So those 2 pixels allowed me to be 5 places. And what would happen is somebody clicks your website and then all of a sudden sees your ads everywhere from those 2 pixels. They literally, they go to YouTube, you're on pre-roll. They go on Meta, there's your Facebook ad. They go on Instagram, there's your fucking Instagram ad in their DMs. They open up the app while they're taking a shit, and Google Display is like, hey, we're in your app too. And then all of a sudden you start becoming a big deal in their world. And it's really cheap to do that, by the way. It's really fucking cheap. Like compared to the cost of running solar ads, it's like 1 to 5%. So if they're spending $10,000 a month on front end ads, you could retarget all that traffic for like, a few $100. And no, I didn't fulfill it with GHL. It was all just ads. And I didn't even come up with landing pages. I just redirected them back to the fucking website they were going to in the first place. Have you have tried finding that one thing that my brain feels safe working on for 6 to 12 months? Probably can't find it because of my limited view of the opportunities. I also never marketed myself, shown my face. I think it's a misnomer to think you're supposed to figure out what. Okay. So I've ranted on this, but I don't think people really understand this enough. A business has to be market driven. Like there has to be a need in the marketplace for what you do. And if you come up with the idea first, what can I sell for the next 6 to 12 months or indefinitely, you're making it about you. And that does come into play, but not at the beginning. Okay. So I'll give you an example, and I call this the 10-degree shift, but I'll give you like a real example. So my ex had her car banged up. It was parked, but Chinese food driver. And my hometown of Windsor, Ontario, Canada it's an automotive city. Like everybody I know works for Ford, General Motor, Chrysler, suppliers of them. And so it has way too much automotive shit, like just way too much of it. And so there's all these auto body shops, like 100 times more than anybody would ever need. And most of those auto body shops started because somebody went, I don't want to work for a boss. I don't want to work for someone else. Fuck this shit. I'm going to do my own shit. I'm going to do my own shit, be my own boss. The problem is the market doesn't need another auto body shop. And when her car got banged up, she had a Volkswagen Beetle. We bought it because it was her dream car. And, when I started to have success in the business, I'm like, you deserve to have your dream car. So we bought the Volkswagen Beetle. And when my brother's tailpipe went through it, because like the guy hit it, what happened is we had to go to a Volkswagen specialty dealer. We actually, as part of the insurance process, you have to go to 3 different dealers. And they all said, we don't work on them. Volkswagen has too many specialty parts. Go to the guy on Drouillard Road. We went to the guy on Drouillard Road. He was backed up for like 30, 40 days. He said, give this form to the insurance company. They'll give you a loaner car. I can fix it, but it'll be more than a month. And he eventually fixed it and we got it back. But what's the difference between I repair cars and I repair Volkswagen specifically? Is it like really that much of a difference in terms of the fulfillment? Not really. But I'll tell you, there's a huge difference in their execution, which is the Me Too body shops have only selfish reasons to exist. I don't want to work for someone else. The Volkswagen has a market-driven reason. It's a 10-degree shift. I work on cars. I work on Volkswagens. Because it has market-driven reasons, he's backed up 40 days. So to me, almost always people get stuck in this mental masturbation loop trying to figure out what I'm going to sell and how I can make money. And what you actually need to figure out first is, who am I going to sell this to? 2, what problems do those people have? 1, that I could show up and solve. And 3, what tool, system, whatever process gets them what they want, right? And if you do that, you probably, your what won't change that much. It's the difference between we make websites, that's a Me Too business, and we make websites to help you get mommy makeover patients because those are your highest value people. That's the market need. That like actually needs to exist. So to me, the people get stuck forever in the what can I do to make money? And you actually need to be asking, who do I want to do this for? And what are their problems? And if you do that, The what evolves out of what they need, like what they need. So that's why I say I'm going to paste it again, but use my market research, Bob. You got to figure out who, not what. And then when you go market yourself, you'll actually have something because you go, hey, you know that annoying problem that you all have? I can make that shit go away. I hate some people on YouTube said cancel GHL and start SWAS, the new model, and others said I cancel GHL and use Claude Code. Seriously, what's those hooks on thumbnail of YouTube? What do you think? Well, I'm just being real with you, Mohammed, is that like marketers who sell products, of which I'm one, just so you know, it's easier to sell hype, new thing, undiscovered opportunity than boring shit that sounds like work. It just is, just so you guys know. And so a lot of these guys are always making a big deal out of the next thing because they're always like trying to push the next thing on you. What I've learned is that by doing this, and I have a different approach than most of these people because I don't like selling you guys hypey things that have a short runway. Like why I don't sell a lot of those things and do all that hype is because they work, but always for a period of time, right? There's what we call a first mover's advantage. So like, you know, years ago, like a TikTok agency was smoking hot. Well, if you sell a TikTok agency in the beginning, you're going to crush it. But once there's 100 of them, it's too many. Same thing with Facebook ads. I was like the first guy doing that I knew anyway, doing personal injury ads for Facebook. Now there's like 1,000 people who do it. Right. So everything moves through that cycle where it's like you're the first one doing it and it works really well when you're the first one. And then when there's 1,000 people who copy you because some guru sold it as a system. So how I've learned to deal with this is I'm obsessed about the shit that never changes, the market principles of the who am I. And I think the biggest bedrock is not the model and the system and the tool and the hack and the shortcut. It's the who you do it for. So if you decide I'm going to work for plumbers, you can come up with new systems, but they're always going to be for what a plumber needs, right? So like, say, for example, I'm selling an AI receptionist to a plumber today, and tomorrow something better comes out that's even better. If I know I'm working with plumbers and solving their problems, then they don't get upset that a new and better system came out. But if you make it about the tool, which most people do, oh my God, like everything is hot. Like everything's like the new and exciting thing. And I know that shit sells, but it sets people up for failure, which is why I don't like selling those things. Like Ty Lopez, for example, had a course, how to get rich, basically selling social media to general contractors. And he mentioned selling it to roofers. So he had a cold outreach script that was working for them. And he sold 60,000 copies of that course. So when the first person bought it and started contacting roofers and shit with that system, it probably worked. But now roofers today, or people in the roofing industry, have said they get Ty Lopez's exact word for word script 100 times a day, 100 times a day, every day, right? So it doesn't work anymore because too many people are doing the exact same thing in the exact same way. So that's why I'm always big on like the market principles that never change. It's a little harder to get your thing off the ground because you move a little slower. You got to figure out what those people actually want, but you have longevity. And I'm like, the last thing I want for you guys is to build a business that works really well for 6 months and then you end up broke again in 6 months, starting over, going, what happened? Thumbs up your ass, because you built it on the hype of something where the only real advantage you had is you're the first one doing it. And then when everybody copied you, you know, you no longer stood out from the noise. And so to me, like figuring out what your client wants and building the audience as the bedrock, that's the real asset, is the people you build relationships with. Do I have an example of one of my Loom videos on my channel? I did a training on that. I addressed that before, just so you know. Like part of the reason I used to actually show lots of examples, and then I literally had dumb fucks copy them word for fucking word, and send them to some of my clients. And I actually remember one of my clients messaging me and going, is this you? Because this guy's like saying the exact same shit you said. And I looked at it, I was like, no. So I've since taken them down. We do have them in our paid stuff. If you guys message me privately, I will share some. I'm not like trying to hide them for you, but I also realized too many people get caught up in trying to see my examples instead of like build your own, go sell your own shit. So I did a training walking you guys through building one on the spot and answering a bajillion questions about it. So you could see it done live in real time. Because to me, my biggest success with Loom videos is not that Frankie Finn can close in videos. It's that, like, you know, realistically, I've probably taught like 300-400 people to actually successfully close. And I'm like, that's the real win. So to me, like, watch that training because it'll show you how to build your own. You don't need mine. You want it your own. Having said that, if you do message me privately, like on Facebook, I will share some, but I'm just like, I'm hesitant to do it because some dumb fuck always ruins it for everybody. I think your own experience, your own opinion and experience is what makes you unique and differentiates you from the competitors today. Celia, what's up, girl? I'm going to actually just read your question because I had you on deck and let's go out of order. Where is it? Possible client says, everything looks positive. I need to ask you, in order to proceed, if you'd be willing to, the agreement will involve, you cannot work with our competitors, both under the time we have cooperation, but also 1 year after the possible termination of agreement. If we agree on this, then we can proceed. 1 year doesn't seem fair, though it's a niche I've never worked with before. Personal opinion, like, just so you know, like, this is a negotiation. So if you're okay with it and they're okay with it doesn't matter, especially if you don't foresee yourself working with somebody else in the niche, in that area again. But having said that, the unreasonable part is obviously the year after. That's like saying you can date me, but you can't date anyone else for 12 months after we break up. It's like, I actually think it's in your own best interest to not compete with yourself. So I used to take on like multiple SEO clients in the same industry, and then it was hard because like you're trying to rank websites against yourself. So I had a rule that we only took up to 2 people in any given market, and that was for me, not for the clients. That was like, I just don't want to have to compete with myself, because it's hard, because like, you're good and you're using the same tactics for all your clients. So I think it's a good idea to actually not compete. But having said that, like, I wouldn't give them a year of exclusivity. Or what I would say to them, as you mentioned in your post, is like, okay, I'll do that, but you're going to have to agree to commit to this period of time, because like, if I'm going to have to commit to you for a year, you're going to commit to me. Are you ready to do that? And I would be willing to walk away from a deal over that personally. I'm not saying you have to. Depends how badly you want the client. Depends how badly you want the cashola and all those things. And you can't, if it's a new niche and you may not even ever go into it again, it might not even be a big deal. But I'd be careful just with that extra year after is like, that's a big ask. How would you scale with an in-house team as fast as possible? In-house team for what? So just so you know, scaling, that's a whole other operations. That's like, I know how to do that stuff really well, but honestly, it's not my biggest strength. And I don't tend to do it a lot for other people, Paul. But you ever been to a restaurant and I'll tell you the 2 biggest enemies of scale. And if you fix these things, most of your shit will scale easier. Okay. So enemy number 1 of scale is you're just doing too much custom shit. So imagine, for example, you go to a restaurant one day, you say, hey, do you guys make burgers? And they go, of course we do. And they make you burgers and they homemade some buns. And then the next day you say, you guys make Chinese food? And they say, sure, why not? Then they got to go to the Chinese market and they got to get the fancy soy sauce and the oyster sauce and the weird ass shit they always sell at the Asian market. Sorry, you Asian people, you guys eat some weird shit. I love you, but some weird ass shit. Then the next day you say, can you make pizza? Now you got to get a wood fire oven. You got to get the 00 flour. You got to learn, you got to watch some YouTube videos on making margarita pizzas. Then on Thursday, somebody says you do catering. That business is not going to scale well because you're just doing custom shit. What scales well is like what McDonald's did in the beginning, which not what McDonald's does today. In the beginning, they just sold burgers. Burger, 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 burger. And what happens is you get something called economy of scale, which is the first burger was a lot of work to make and the system was a pain in the ass. But the real benefit of scaling is the second burger and the third burger and the fourth burger just fly off the production line because you're just doing the same shit again and again. So one of the biggest reasons a lot of agencies can't scale their operations is because they got a video client over here. They got a Google Ads guy over here. Then they got a dentist they're making a website for over here. And they're just doing too much shit. And you need to narrow it down to one thing you do for one person that solves one problem that you just do again and again and again and again. Second reason people can't scale their teams is not a people issue. It's a systems issue. And they don't realize it's a systems issue. But using a restaurant analogy, imagine you go to work at a restaurant, or let's say you go to eat at the restaurant first. And you eat there on Monday and it's the best meal you ever had in your life. And you're telling your friends, oh man, you got to try this place. And then you guys go back there together on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, it's kind of mediocre. It's like, this is not how I remember this thing. And then you go, okay, we'll give it another shot. And you go back on Friday. And this time it's like, it's good, but it's not great. And then you find out there was a chef on Monday who's like the owner and he rocked it. And then on Wednesday, there was a different guy. He's new. And then on Friday, there's like a guy who's more experienced. And what you inevitably realize is that they're sort of making different recipes. They're making it up as they go. And as a result, there's no like kind of consistency from one day to the next. So, um, what you really want if you want to scale your restaurant, like metaphorically, is you need recipes. You need a fucking recipe. Like the owner says, this is step one, step two. This is how you make my killer fucking bacon cheeseburger. So that when the guy in Wednesday comes in and doesn't know anything, he can still follow the recipe and make it almost as good or exactly as good as the chef makes it. So the other issue that stops a lot of agencies from scaling is they don't have recipes. Also in our industry known as SOPs, which stands for standard operating procedure. If you don't have SOPs and then you try and hire people, it's just like giving a cook and go make an awesome burger, and they don't know what an awesome burger is. And so they fail at it. And then you go, what the hell? Why do you suck? But when you give them, go, here's the recipe. I need you to recreate this awesome burger. And the less things you're doing, if you're only doing one thing for one person, you'll have between 10 to like 25 SOPs that define your whole business, including all your fulfillment, all your hiring, all your client updates. And when you have that, the agencies scale way easier because you're just like repeating. It's like literally just your team going through checklists. Step one, check. Step two, check. Step three, check. And then what happens is, a lot of people say I have a hard time letting go because I want it done a certain way. Part of the reason I've learned to be able to let go is because they're doing it my way. They're following my fucking recipe. That's how I know it's being done right. Like we had some we've been working on thumbnails. My video editor, Mark, I created a GPT that makes the thumbnail. So and I programmed it on my logic. So it's always making thumbnails how I want a fucking thumbnail done. Right. It's not perfect, but Mark can make 90 to 95% of a burger that I can make without me having to watch him do it. So that's how I scale with an in-house team. And I'm assuming that's what you meant by the question, but if you feel free to clarify if that's what you meant. Can you grow your agency in a few months by adding company owners on a Facebook and posting hand raisers? Yeah, you guys would be amazed, right? Like how little people you actually need to hit $1 million a year. Like if you get the right people into your system. So I'll give you our real numbers in my second agency. When we hit $1 million a year, we had about 400-ish email contacts in our system, and about 40-ish of those were clients, and we were charging some of them $2K and some of them had graduated to $2,500. But $1 million a year, just is $83,333 a month. So if you got 41 clients at $2K, you're a millionaire, just so you know. So it's like you don't need as many of them as you think. You need the right people. But what stops a lot of people, by the way, is twofold. Is you actually have to learn your market. You have to learn like how a lawyer thinks, how a dentist thinks, how a plumber thinks, how an e-commerce store thinks, and their language and all those things, so that they believe you have unique specialty to be able to help them. And the second thing that stops people is it takes longer than almost all of the gurus tell you. And so all these people have false expectations that they're just going to send a DM and be a millionaire. And the reason is they move slower than you want to. Right? They aren't sitting around going, man, I hope somebody DMs me today so I can give them 10 grand. That's not how it works. Right? And there's a process. Just like if you wanted to, get a girlfriend, you wouldn't expect to just send one message and have a girlfriend in like an hour. Yet somehow that's how people think making money is supposed to be. Right? It's a relationship. There's like multiple touches. And so you have to, which by the way, I mentioned this earlier, but I'm recording a video that goes through all the way from cold to sold and what those different touches look like and what I'm doing at each stage without ever, like jumping on a call with them. Because most people ask me about the close, but very few people ask me about the total process. And I think the total process is just as important, if not more important. Sorry to hear that. Glad you're okay. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. Great reply. Thanks. You make it clear. Just jumped on. Glad you're okay. Each new day is a new chance. Yeah, totally. Thoughts on Cameron, England? I don't know enough about Cameron, England to give you an opinion one way or another. Let me just go to some of the doc questions that I've missed. Jose says, quick question. I'm advising my beta users on what types of know, like, and trust videos to display on the personalized prospects landing page generated by my system. I've already got them creating the main video based on Frankie's 5 chapters. Other than common questions, what general topics should the know, like, and trust videos cover? An answer might just be it's niche dependent. See screenshot for an example of what I'm talking about. I didn't see the screenshot. But just so you know, when we do like follow up with people, there's essentially like three kinds of things that we do. And I think um, if I was going to put stuff on a page, it would have either some of those or all of those. So one of those is proof. And people think too narrowly about proof. They think case studies and previous clients. They don't think that you can show a picture of what a lead would look like that they're going to get, or play your AI voice solution. Like they think way too narrowly about what proof actually is, which is past clients and case studies. But proof, um, if you got it, and you can always manufacture some proof that it, by the way, and the best proof is not our system works. The best proof is this is the best way for you to get what you want. So like we created a Google reviews system. I don't have any Google reviews clients, but I found like hundreds and hundreds of screenshots of people saying Google reviews blew up my business. So I like put those and send those. I never said they're my clients. I just said Google reviews work. You need them. Here's proof. So proof, if you got it. Objection handling. So like you might be saying no because of this reason, but you're more believable when that same objection is done in video than when you're doing it on a call and trying to pressure them into a sale. And then the third kind of thing that we do, I call it just going deeper on the plan, which is, okay, so you're gonna do an AI voice solution, right? They don't really care about the abstract of AI receptionist. They want to hear what it would sound like for them, what the setup would look like for them, what it's going to be trained on for them. So like I might just follow up with them and say, or have a video that says like, hey, I want to show you, these are your business hours and these are the areas you serve. So I'm going to train her on, let's say we call our AI voice solution Susie. I'm going to train Susie on, she knows you only book jobs in these areas, and you also only work these hours, so that she knows to only put them in the system on these times, right? They don't care about AI receptionists in the greater sense. They want to know what it would look like for them. So when you go deeper on those details. How do I develop my SOPs, Paul? Twofold. I either, as I'm doing a task, record myself on Loom, explaining it to someone else before that employee exists, or I have a tool I built inside of our AI library for our mastermind folks where you can describe a task at a 30,000 foot view. So I go, hey, I'm trying to get my VA to post to LinkedIn every day. It'll ask you like, 10, 15 follow-up detailed questions. Does time of day matter? Do you want text post here? Are they just posting to your profile? Are they also posting to groups? Are we sharing it to other platforms? Where do they get the content? Is from this folder, that folder? Do you want them to update the answers in a spreadsheet, whatever? And it'll ask you all those detailed questions, and then it'll spit out the SOP step by step, and you put it inside of whatever project management system you use. Project management is like, to me, like the recipe store, and also where you say you're responsible, Paul, for making this recipe, and Mohammed, you got to make that one, and you make the fries, you make the burger, and we'll meet in the middle and put it together and assemble it. And there might be an SOP for the person assembling it. Jason says, hey, everybody, first time posting here. Anyone else working with D2C e-commerce brands? I help brands sell their products with email marketing. Working with 3 brands currently, all came through referrals. What is the best way to contact e-commerce brands? Been mostly using DMs on Instagram, since literally all commerce e-brands use Instagram to promote their products. Love to hear your thoughts. I said before, every industry has buyers and non-buyers. So if I was trying to get to e-commerce stores, like the first thing I would do is figure out what the buyers have in common. And I'll tell you 2 things I know for sure off the top of my head. The people who run bigger e-commerce stores, because like I have a friend, for example, her name's Cindy back home. I love Cindy. If you're watching, I'm not talking shit about you, Cindy, but she's got a little hobby business where she makes candles. Technically, she's in an e-commerce store. She might make like $5,000 a year selling candles, and she's never going to pay you as a client, and she's never going to scale that business. And she just does it for fun. Like she's a stay-at-home mom, wanted a little extra income, make $100 a week, whatever, selling some candles, right? Nothing wrong with that. But she ain't ever going to pay you $2,000 a month to do an email marketing thing, because she's not a buyer of those things. And most people in the industry are not a buyer. So I obsess about the e-commerce stores that have like solutions like Klaviyo, where they're paying for a software to store all their leads and contacts, because those are the people who are trying to scale. And also I would go to the Facebook ads library and see who's actively spending money trying to grow, because those are the people. And then that's the people I would message. And if you can reverse that word, get in front of them rather than you having to message them, I think you could do it even better. Like I would produce content with the big e-commerce course creators and gurus and masterminds and events and things like that and podcasts, and have them come to you and speak to the people who have Klaviyo and things like that, because those are your real buyers in the space. How many VAs do you have, and how do you find them? Which platforms can find good people? I have 5 VAs right now. There was a time like in my agency where I had about 40 to 50, somewhere in that range. We kind of fluctuated. So at my peak, that now I just run like small little lean operations. Like I don't like having a big team and big madness. I try and wherever possible use automation, use video, use tools. So my VAs, just do everything that's left. As far as how I find them, so before I used to have SOPs, since we brought up SOPs, like before I had documented recipes, I would go hire people, and for every 20 people I hired, maybe one of them would work out. So that's like my batting average, 1 out of 20. When I started documenting all of my recipes and said, here's how we do things around here to make the killer burger, and this is the recipe you're going to be responsible for, my batting averages shot up to about 8 in 10. So I have more hits than not hits. I still have to fire somebody every now and then. It sucks, but it happens. And what I do is, if I'm trying to hire somebody, I've learned that something I call the trial assignment. So I think most people's hiring processes, for lack of a nicer way of saying it, are straight up fucking retarded. They're just like kind of unconsciously copied across everyone. Let's do an interview. Tell me about your references. Where do you see yourself in 5? Are you a team player? That's how I think about most people's hiring processes. So what I do is I test people on the recipe they're going to make. So if I'm running a burger restaurant, I'm like, make a burger. I will pay you $5, $10, whatever. Make me a burger. And then I taste the burger and go, hey, you followed the recipe. You did what you were supposed to do. Good. Because that's what we do around here. We make burgers. So I do everything with trial assignments. I learned this from a guy named John Jonas. If I'm hiring a video editor, make me a fucking video. If I'm hiring a social media poster, post some shit on social media. If I'm hiring a fulfillment person, like a media buyer, I'm like, show me how you'd run the fucking media. Run some ads for me, right? That's what I have them do. It sounds really simple, but that's how I find good people. And where I find them, just like Facebook groups, tons of virtual assistant groups. I post in there and say, I got a trial assignment. And then people go, trial assignment. And then I just copy and paste the video, send it to everyone. Most of them never do it. I get like 20 of them back. I go through the 20 of them, send it back. There might be like 4 or 5 really good ones in there. And I might give them a second, like, okay, you made the burgers, now make the fries. And then, then I'll be left with 2, 3 good candidates. And then I might actually interview 2 or 3 good candidates. But I don't even talk to candidates either. Just and again, it's all over text. That's how I find them. After listening to your book, I feel like going after a potential client's trash dumpster assets, like their customer list, is the best way to get my foot in the door and have success. How do you do that? Easiest way is just take the risk out of them, not just in terms. So there's 3 big risks that'll stop somebody from giving you their customer list, Jason. One is the money. So you can, if you want to, you can de-risk that and say, like, let me run the campaign, and after it works, you can send me some money. 2 is the time commitment. So like a lot of agency sales, like you have to work with me for 12 months. So just like, hey, let's just run this for a couple of days, and I'll tell you in a couple of days whether this is going to work or not. So you can reduce the time commit. And then the other big objection they have is like, are you going to make me look stupid to my customers? And so I always remind them, like, I'm just going to thank your customers profusely, tell them how much we appreciate them. And even if they never buy anything, you're going to look good out of this. So if you want to get somebody fast, this is how I get $1 million partnerships, by the way. I just say, hey, had this idea for your customer list. Let's just run a little test campaign. I'll send all the shit and I'll make you look cool no matter what, whether they buy or not. And I only want to get paid if it works. Would you be down to try it? Nobody really says no to that. Other than if they're really protective over their customer list, that does happen sometimes. But generally speaking, that's how you get into the door with some trash can assets. This is really good. There you go, Mom. I appreciate it. How do you ensure that you're in the sweet spot of hiring when you're not under hiring and not over hiring? I don't think there's a perfect answer to that in terms of real world practice. A lot of it depends on your goals. It's like if you're at $10,000 a month and you want to be at $10,000 a month, your hiring process is going to look very differently than if you're at $10,000 a month, but you really want to be at 50. So if you really want to be at 50, you have to build the infrastructure for 50,000, which is going to look different than the infrastructure for 10,000. So a lot of it just depends on where you're trying to go. I know that's kind of a lame answer, but it's the truth. Is like, you hire people when you need the infrastructure for it, and you don't when you don't. What I try not to do is be reactive with hiring. Is like when you're overwhelmed with work, and then you tend to make bad hires who compound the issues. That's the worst time to hire. The best time to hire is, and what I try and do. Perry Marshall really helped me understand this. So I had a situation. I'll give you a real life story, Paul. Homie over here hated mowing his lawn, but I did it, and I went and looked, and I found like there were guys online who would like mow my lawn for like it took about an hour at a big yard back in those days, and it was like $25 for an hour. I'll mow your lawn. I'll bring my lawnmower and mow your lawn, and it was once a week, so it was like $100 a month basically. And I remember going, I shouldn't hire a lawnmower. Like that's a waste of money. Like you grew up poor. And then Perry Marshall was talking inside of business. He said, there are things that are $1,000 an hour CEO tasks that only you can do. And there's a lot of $2 an hour grunt work tasks. And a lot of times those things overlap. And sometimes there's steps in the same process. So I'll give you an example for me. I think when I make videos and produce stuff that can be consumed by people and create sales, that's $1,000 an hour CEO work that's not meant for everybody. But the actual editing the videos, posting them, filling in descriptions on YouTube, that's all part of the video process, but that's $2 an hour grunt work. So I try and obsess about only doing the $1,000 an hour stuff and not the $2 an hour stuff. So I say that to you just because like I try and get $2 an hour grunt work stuff off my plate as soon as humanly possible so that I can double and triple down on $1,000 an hour CEO stuff. That's how I try and hire, not reactively. It's like, even if it's a small amount of work, if it's $2 an hour grunt work. So what I came to realize is that if I spent an hour mowing my lawn, then I could have made $1,000 doing CEO work. And so I was costing myself $975 by mowing the fucking lawn. And then I was like, dude, get that guy off my fucking plate. Other question about lifestyle for digital nomads. What's the best country you like to work? I don't know. I mean, I've had fun in lots of them. I feel like there's more places I haven't been to than been to. Like I go back home and some of my friends are like, where are you living these days? You're all over the world. You've been everywhere. The world's real fucking big. I've only seen a small part of it. I probably lived in about 35 countries. What I did when I was a digital nomad, if I liked it, I stayed longer. If I didn't like an area, I stayed less. That was like kind of my simple formula. But I called it my never-ending vacation. So some places I stayed like a weekend. Some places I stayed like 6 months. I'll tell you, I'm a big sucker for a mixture of beautiful nature mixed with access to a city so you can still do stuff. Like that's my sweet spot. So I think my 5 favorite places that I've seen: Big Island, Hawaii. That was pretty fucking epic. Lake Louise, Banff area, Alberta, Canada, like just the Rockies is amazing. Innsbruck, Austria, just like mountains and lakes and rivers, and it was just fucking stunningly beautiful. Tenerife, Spain, I call it Spanish Hawaii. And where I live now, La Paz, Mexico, which is why I live there. What's the best strategy for getting our offer in front of decision makers in $5 to $50 million companies, knowing it still has to solve their problems and help them sell their best products and services? I think part of the reason is you're down to $5 to $50 million roofing companies. That would be an easier question to answer. But the short answer is you can buy that data. You can buy that data. Like you can use firstly, by the way, the easiest way to tell how much money, how much revenue a company has is not by buying data from a company and all that. It's like, just look at the size of their team on their About Us page. Like people don't work for free. If I open a company and there's like, if I open a roofing company and there's 50 people who work there, I can tell you they're doing at least like 10 million a year just from the fact that there's 50 people that work there. Like those people don't work for free, right? So somebody's paying their salary with something. If it's one guy, that tells me he's probably doing like 200,000 a year, right? So you can tell like just based on that. But as far as their problems, that's a difficult question to answer because not every $50 million company has the same problem, right? Like that's a wide range of things, which is why I would encourage you to niche down if that's what you want to do. Jason says, would you run the 4-day cash machine for customers list, or would you offer a coupon or something else? Also, would you run the campaign within their system or my own system? So firstly, do I run a 4-day cash machine? Yes. For those of you guys not familiar, it's a Frank Kern campaign where you just say, thank you, we appreciate you. That's why we're doing something cool. For a limited time, you can get access to this. That's how you sell their customer list. That's what I do. That's what I've always done. I haven't really modified that. Do I offer a coupon or something else? No. I'm a big believer in add value, don't take away price. So the easiest thing you can do to add value is take something they're already selling, add a bonus to it. By the way, too many people are limited in their thinking of bonuses. Bonuses do not have to be your shit. I saw a realtor, for example, friend of a friend. He was trying to fill an open house. And, it's real hard to get people to drive to an open house. But if you can get a lot of people to an open house, a house sells really easily because all of a sudden it creates like this competitive market where they all know this home is going to sell fast because there's 50 people there, and that suddenly it makes people want it. So he just simply said, come to the open house and you get a free $20 Starbucks gift card, right? He would spend $20 to get a lead on ads anyway. So like give him a gift card and they came, right? Is Starbucks his business? No, it was a like little bonus he included. So I always think about what can you add to make it more valuable, not what you can take away price. And then would you run the campaign within their system or my own system? I always try and run it on my own system, but I have run it on their system, especially when it's just easier. But generally speaking, I try and run it on my own system, but both are viable. Simple SaaS. I'm thinking about offering websites for the $100 bill clients for contractors. What was your promise for the doctor example? Like, just like you said, it's like, instead of, hey, I'll make you a website, I'll make you a website that sells your mommy makeover procedures. It's like, and just so you know, like the problem it solves for a local business, like most people don't think about this, but local businesses, they have hard fixed cost. So like insurance, the building, sometimes they drive to people's houses, there's gas, there's physical tools, there's employees, there's health insurance. So they don't actually make money on everything. Some things they actually just work for free just to keep the doors open. So like, for example, like I didn't know this, but when I started working with plastic surgeons, they would tell me that when they would do breast augmentation, they didn't make any money. And I said, why the hell not? It's like, it's a $6,000 procedure. You're telling me you don't make anything off of $6,000? They said, no, it costs $2,000 to $3,000 just to rent the hospital room for an hour, the OR, the operating room, as they call it. I said, really? And they said the breast implants cost $1,000 to $1,500 a piece. Fake tits, little bags of plastic cost like $1,500. I was like, really? And then they said, then I got to pay my staff. I got the anesthesia. And then they just like added up all the costs. They said, I'm just hoping that person buys another procedure later, but I don't make any money operating on them. And I have all the liability. And then they would tell me about mommy makeovers and they'd say, I actually get to keep 12 grand. What do you think a doctor wants, to work for free or to make 12 grand? Like, no. So when you make websites for the $100 bill, what you're really solving is their margin problem. You're saying, I'll help you sell your most expensive thing that actually has margin. In other words, the thing you actually get paid on, which they care. Like, I'll tell you as a business owner, like, for example, let's say, for example, your fixed costs as a business are $100,000 per month. Well, the most interesting dollar to you as an owner is $100,001. Right? The first one you make that you actually get to keep as the owner, right? So that's the one that's most interesting to them. So when you're selling websites, what you're really solving for them is the margin. So often what I'll do is tell them about all the low value shitty work that they don't want to get. Do you really want to be running around doing breast implants and Botox injection, all this Juvederm fillers and all this shit? You don't make any money? Or we're like, well, how about we just make a website that sells mommy makeovers? So I will quote 3 or 4 typical things they do that they don't make any margin off of and say, and if you don't know the answer to what their low margin things are, that's why Big Daddy over here built a market research bot, which is in the chat. How do you use AI in your daily basics? What's the top 5 best tools that help you make real impacts? Like, just so you know, 98% of what I use is ChatGPT. I had a chat with Jonathan Mast, who's like one of the big, some of you guys know him, big bearded AI guy. He's like, got 1 million followers. Him and I have been swimming with whale sharks together. He's a really cool dude. But he said, everybody thinks you need more tools. He says, you need to learn how to use the tools you already have better. And he says, I use like 5. So I think there's like probably 5 tools, maybe 6 that you guys should be using. ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Claude, Manus, and Perplexity. And then like one image generator, whatever your flavor of image. Like most 99% of what you're trying to do is one of those things. That's what I use it for. And then what I use it for, and this is a big deal, is like a lot of times people try and use AI to make money. I first figure out how to manually make money and then make AI do it faster. But I don't use AI as a AI make me some money, because I know tons of people that got tools that are broke. I go, this is what's working. How can we do what's working faster, better, easier, less mistakes, more repeatable? Did I pirate Frank Kern's course? Yes. I actually emailed Frank Kern back in the day. I was like, hey, dude. Some of you guys have done this with me, and I actually appreciate it. You email me and tell me how broke you are. I emailed Frank Kern and told him how broke I was and that I had pirated his course, but that I really appreciated that he put it out there, and that one day I would meet him in person and thank him, which actually did happen, by the way. But yes, I pirated it. But I had no choice back in those days. I didn't have any money. I hope one day YouTube will make us able to get mics and ask live. There you go. Bob, what are your thoughts on approaching web guys offering to be their back room for GBP and AI search to their accounts, and then me outsourcing to you and you team as a back room? That's a proven model, Bob. That's just what we call a white label partnership. So it works. Absolutely. Yeah, that's my thought. It works. What you have to do, by the way, is they're not going to turn over their entire client roster to you on day one, but what you can do is like convince them to try you with one person and, make it work for them. And then turn one into two and two into five and five into let me do everybody. Hey, Frankie, how soon did you start getting inbound leads from your Get Flood Jobs YouTube channel? I didn't get any from my YouTube channel when I made it. So when you first make a new channel, it's like 6 to 12 months before you actually start seeing people reach out to you. How I was able to get inbound. So I published stuff on I made my own YouTube channel and I published, and it had like 2 views and probably 2 of them are bots, right? It's like nobody gave a fuck. But I went to the industry association and I published stuff in their stuff, and it created, I actually remember I published a video on theirs and had almost 10,000 views in the first 2 days. And the magic of that was they already had 10,000 people paying attention to them. It wasn't that Frankie Finn said something so, like most of the videos on their channel had 10,000 views. Actually, mine was like a little bit bigger than theirs because I knew how to like make the thumbnail and overall hook kind of sexy. But most of their videos had 5,000 views, and I got like 10 in the first like 48 hours. And I would say if like 10,000 people watch your shit, don't be surprised if 5 or 10 of them reach out and want to work with you. So what I did is I published my stuff in other people's audiences to get it faster. Should I do digital omnipresence for solar companies since it's closer to the golf hole compared to running their ads? Yes, but if you want to do that, it'll only work for people who are already like running a lot of traffic. So it's only really for bigger solar companies. But if you want, shoot me a Facebook message and I'll show you like what our campaign setups look like and just, some of the creative so you can see. Actually, let me see if I can show you an example of our digital omnipresence. I'll show you a picture of a report and you can kind of see what we're running. Because like I think if you see it visually, it'll just make more sense. Let me just grab this here. So this is an actual report I would send to a client back in the day with digital omnipresence. It doesn't have all of their creatives on it, but it has a lot of them, and they can get a visual picture of what we're running basically. When you find a business $100 bill, how do you figure out how to fulfill it if you don't know how? For example, commercial roofing jobs for that first client. So the difference between generating somebody business and generating them $100 business is $100 bill business is just something called positioning. Okay. So if I run an ad that says, hey, I'm Frankie Finn and I do websites, SEO, and pay-per-click, if anybody responds to that, I'm going to get a mixed bag of some plumber who wants a website and a dentist who wants some SEO and a lawyer who wants pay-per-click, right? You're going to get a mixed bag is kind of the point. If I say, hey, I'm Frankie Finn and we use Facebook ads to get motorcycle cases for personal injury attorneys, would it make sense for a dentist to call me about a website? Would it make sense for a lawyer to say, Do you guys know how to edit? Or would it make sense for a HVAC contractor to say, you guys know how to make videos? Probably not. So when most businesses advertise themselves, they advertise the entire menu. And the way you fulfill on that is you just aim it at one menu item. So if you're trying to generate commercial jobs, for example, I might run Google ads or SEO or Facebook ads. We're going to aim it at commercial kind of keywords or commercial kind of contractors. Our ads are going to talk about the commercial jobs we do. The proof and the pictures are going to mention commercial stuff. Our landing page is only going to show pictures of commercial roofs, right? You start where you finish. So you just aim it. That's it. Like you put it out there and you aim it, right? Like the difference between SEO and SEO to get commercial jobs is you go after different keywords. Your website looks a little different. The stuff on your GBP is a little bit different, and your website says, hey, we do commercial, right? That's it. That's how you get the $100 bill thing, is you just aim it. But most companies don't aim their shit. They go business name, we do blank, blank, and blank, call now. And so they, when you aim it at the thing they want, they're always amazed that you even could aim it in the first place. Just curious, were those mommy makeover sites single page or multiple pages? They were multiple pages. They were pretty simple websites. So they had a home page. They had before and after, like the proof, testimonials, whatever you want to call it. They had about us, like the doctor. And then they had some frequently asked questions about, how much is this? How does it work? Am I going to have a scar? Like whatever the basic questions were, like a 10-page website typically. But, it's pretty formatted and template. I hate cold calling, try and send tons of DMs, still 0 clients, Frankie. If you had to make $500 in 1 week, what would you do? I'd go get an audience. So I mentioned this earlier, but I'll repeat it because I know, some of you guys haven't been with me this whole 90 minutes. Apparently you got lives other than me. 2 biggest reasons cold DMs fail. 1, you're talking to the wrong person in the first place. 2, you're talking about the wrong thing to the wrong person. Okay. So wrong person is anybody who has no proven history of buying your shit, which by the way, doesn't matter what niche you're in. That's 80% of the people. So almost always when people like send messages to the non-buyers, they say shit like, everybody in my niche is broke. Nobody spends money. They're all so jaded. And it's like, you're just messaging the wrong person. It's like, for example, I buy a lot of business books. My brother, I got a brother, just in case you guys know, has never read a book in his life and will probably never read a book in his life. If you send a cold DM to both of us about a business book for sale, I don't care what you say, you got 1,000 times more chance of making the sale with me because I have a proven history of buying that. And he has 0 history. And by the way, most people try and sell to people for need. Go, hey, Jordan, you need this book. That's my brother's name, Jordan. So send it to people who have proven to spend money on advertising. That's the first thing, is getting a list of those people. Second thing is most people talk about the wrong thing, and the wrong person, which is the wrong thing is you and your service. That's the wrong thing to be talking about. Hey, my name is, our company is, we do blank, blank, and blank. We can help you. Let's jump on a quick call and discuss. I get a lot of those. Okay. The right thing is them and their thing they're trying to sell. Hey, saw you guys do water, fire, and mold, and you guys have a real interest in getting residential 3 flood jobs in Omaha. Had an idea to help you do that. I didn't even tell them I have a service. I mean, they can figure that out, but I didn't tell them who we are and what we do and why I'm there and all those. So that's why a lot of DMing fails. But having said that, if you wanted to make money, the fastest way is to do stuff in other people's audience. So I actually just did. We got a sister channel called Digital Deal Making. This is what Ryan did, just so you know. I call it the 0 fulfillment sales system. So what Ryan did is he went to a guy who had a Facebook group of like 29,000 business owners and said, hey, I got an idea to help you monetize it. The guy said, what do you think? And he said, what if we put a trusted resources of cool services to buy for your people? And then he made a Loom video showing them how he can build them websites and SEO. He had a couple of people reach out and buy it. And he went to an SEO company and said, if I bring you some deals, can I get a commission? And they all said, yeah. And he made $2,000 times 3 and got $6,000 and didn't even do the fulfillment. It's them doing the fulfillment. These are the trusted. He's not saying these are my services. He's saying I'm bringing in a trusted resource. What that made that work is he started with an audience of 29,000 people. By the way, anybody who has an audience, generally speaking, If you got ideas to help them make money, they're open to play ball. But the reason why it's faster than making money yourself is because you're starting at 0 audience, they're starting at 29,000, right? Like, for example, if I was just standing alone in my bedroom going, hot dogs for sale, do you think it would work better? Or if I took that exact same pitch and went to, I don't know, like a basketball game with 20,000 people in the stands? What do you think? Where do you think I'm going to sell more hot dogs? Clearly, when there's 20,000 people, right? So I go where the audience is. By the way, I call that digital deal making. It's in my second book. If you guys are interested, you can get a copy of that at digitaldealmakershub.com. Put a link for you guys if any of you guys are interested. But that's what I'm teaching about growing an agency. It's just deal making for agencies. Deal making for agencies to me is, if I'm trying to sell to restoration contractors, go where the fucking audiences of contractors are. You'll sell way more shit way faster than trying to like drum it up one at a time. Like, everybody asks me about one-to-one and Loom videos as if that's how I do it. I do all my shit one-to-many. That's the whole point of a video, is that I can make a pitch to 1,000 people at once and close fucking 20 of them and not have expended any effort to do so. Where was the last one? You think it's easier to land shoe store audience if you have a niche YouTube channel despite barely having any views? I think you're thinking your stuff matters more than it does. I'll give you a little behind the scenes of why I'm able to work with shoe stores. I actually worked with a shoe store, just so you know. So shoe store, for those of you guys not familiar, is a term I use to represent anybody who has an audience in the space. I worked with a company called the Personal Injury Lawyers Marketing and Management Association, also known as PILMA. And PILMA was a major content producer, right? So they ran a major event every year called the PILMA Super Summit. We also had a workshop, 1 to 2 of those a month. So they do like 12 to 24 smaller events every year. They publish a newsletter every month. They did a weekly webinar training for all their members. Every week there was a new webinar. So 52 of them a year, minus like a couple that hit on holidays. They had podcasts. They had a YouTube channel. And behind the scenes, this is the conversation that happens all day long. Hey, we need to have our newsletter published, but the guy who said he was going to get us an article didn't. So, like, what are we going to put in the what are we going to put in the newsletter? Hey, we got a podcast episode in 3 weeks and we don't have a guest. Hey, a couple of the people said they're not going to buy a ticket to this year's events because it's the same speakers as last year. We need to find like 5 or 10 new speakers. Hey, we don't have anything to publish on our YouTube channel. We need something like stat. So when you show up and say, hey, I wrote you an article for your newsletter. Hey, I got a valuable training to go for your Thursday trainings. Or, hey, I got a really cool podcast episode. You're like literally doing their work for them. They don't give a fuck how many fans or followers, right? You're solving their problem for them. So that's why it works, just so you know. So it doesn't matter if you have any views. I actually, by the way, just so you guys know, when I brand new in the legal space, I had never worked with an attorney. I didn't have any friends who went to law school. I'd never hired one. The total number of attorneys I knew in existence was 0. I reached out to the top attorney on earth, John Morgan from Morgan & Morgan, and said, hey, I would love to interview you for our channel and share all the cool things Morgan & Morgan is up to. And I probably just need about 10 or 15 minutes to share the goodness John is up to. Do you think it would be possible to get a little 10, 15-minute interview? My total following was 0. My number of published videos was 0. My fans and fame and fortune was 0. And they said to me, how's July 27th at 2 p.m. or August 13th at 4 p.m.? They didn't care. Is there a recording? Yeah, there's a recording. Let me see if I can find some. I didn't actually, I wasn't smart enough to record the full thing, but I got like little snippets of let me just see if I can find you some. It's an old channel I did. I haven't touched it or updated it in fucking forever. But let me see if I can find it here. Here we go. I just put a bunch of little snippets, but you can see. Oh, is there a recording of today's session? Oh, so yeah, this is automatically being recorded, just so you know, like YouTube does that automatically. So that's like generating the replay in real time. Let me just close a few things. Yeah, let me just see. I got a couple other questions to bang out real quick. Caitlin says, if you were to systematize one marketing offering specifically for landscaping businesses, what would it be? Over the past year, I've grown my agency a lot. Huge credit to Frankie for that by running low ticket trial offers. And now many of those clients are coming back for ongoing work, which is great, but it's getting harder to scale. I know I need to simplify and productize, ideally one trial offer and one monthly package. Don't seem to care if I reuse templates or content as long as they're not in competing markets. Curious what others in the space have chosen to standardize first and what actually made the biggest impact on efficiency. So Caitlin, you got an advantage that you've been able to fulfill on a lot of these things first. So the first thing I look for, like the easiest thing to do actually before you figure out what's the one thing I want to do is let's eliminate some things. Eliminating is usually easier than, so the first thing I do is go, what's a huge pain in the ass for me in terms of client updates or fulfillment or just like a lot of moving pieces. It's really hard and I don't like doing it. Like, let's just put a big fucking X through that. And there's some things that you look back and go, and the reason, by the way, is we don't think about this, but there is a money for effort exchange. And you're trying to maximize, if you're scaling, the maximum amount of money you get for effort. So that like, so if every time you fulfill, like it creates a lot of effort, you're gonna have a hard time scaling, not because of the money component, but because of the effort component. So like you said, they don't care if you reuse templates and tools and things like that. You just want to be able to get them a result as quickly as possible. So what I always like try and gravitate to is what brings them their $100 bill and what's the fastest, easiest way for me to do that. So we got a guy actually who's in our fast starters who's also working with landscapers, and they want really big backyard jobs, not just, so like there's usually more than $100 bill, but I'm giving you an example. One is not just the like cutting a bush or mowing a lawn where they make 25 bucks, but a real backyard where they want, like they're in the rich neighborhood, they want a pond and they want, you know, some bushes and some flower beds, and like you're gonna have to dig it out, and it's a whole like makeover, and it's, you know, gonna be 25, 50 grand kind of thing. That's the kind of jobs they want. So he's figured out the best way for him to do that is advertise those jobs on Facebook ads. So his one deliverable is Facebook ads to get you big backyard jobs. That's it. It's not a lot of variety. There's no like, hey, if you want bush cutting and you want fucking lawns mowed and you want all that like piddly little shit. So for you, it might be getting them in with property managers. That's another thing. Even though property managers have small jobs, they tend to have a lot of it in volume, which, and they like that because it's consistent work for your guys. It's steady revenue. So, you know, like run the market research bot. I'll send it to you, and you know, like figure out the thing that they most want and what's easiest for you to fulfill, and balance those two things, and then double down on that. And then whenever somebody asks, do you do blank? Say, hey, we found that we're really best at this one lane. I do know how to do that, but you know, yeah, I can cook you anything, but we're just really good at making burgers. So I prefer, you know, call me when you want a burger. Right. And a lot of times they're like, I actually really just wanted burgers anyway. And also by selling their expensive things, you give yourself a lot of margins. Like you bring them one $25,000 job in 2 months, you could easily justify a $3K a month fee, right? Hey, it's $6,000 for 2 months, but you made $25,000. That's a 4-to-1 return on investment. That's a pretty good deal for you. So, you know, that would be my 2 cents on that. I hope that's helpful. Let's see. What do you think is the best deliverable for solar companies would be that's close to the golf hole? The easiest thing is we got a guy in our mastermind. I call it the upsell agency. This is something I've been working on for like a year, but the easiest money you'll ever make a business is not getting them new people, is just selling more to the people who buy. So he takes their customer list, he emails them and says, just like Best Buy says to you, would you like to add an extended warranty? He says, hey, a lot of these solar panels, they're awesome, but between wind and weather and things like that, and the batteries tend to break down, is like, it needs to be changed and replaced and all that. And you're going to have to do that over the next couple of years, whether you want to or not. If you want, you can give us $20,000 now, and we'll just come every 3 months and automatically update those things for you, and it'll be hands off for you. Would you be interested in adding an extended warranty to your order? And 10% of people say, yeah, I'll give you 20 grand. He gets $2,000 of commission every time they do that. That's the easiest one to me, is upselling to people who already bought. And then you don't have to generate any leads, and you make huge revenue for them. They got 100 people who bought solar panels. You convert 5 of them into a maintenance package. You just made them 100 grand. You're the 6-figure revenue generator in 2 days. Like, that's pretty mind blowing for them. But the magic is they're not doing enough for their customer list, and they don't know it. Last spoil. What are the rules to sending bulk friend requests on Facebook? I want to avoid getting blocked or timed out. You'll get timed out no matter what you do. The blocks are usually not permanent, just so you know. The blocks happen if you cold DM too many people. That's where you get blocked. But as far as adding people, they'll just tell you can't do this for a little while, but they won't like permanently block you. I don't know. Usually like 50 to 100 a day is a good ballpark. The shocker. Scott's the only one who's writing real comments. You guys are missing the real shit. Was away. I'm thinking of doing a hand raiser to get new client conversations as a lead form ad with a link to my calendar. Yeah, I'd say just test it. Cool. So ballpark, if you're running it as an ad, I'll tell you what I do as a ballpark. $50 to $100, I'm looking for hands raised. Usually about 5 of them is like kind of so if I spend 50 to $100 and 5 people in one form or another say, tell me more about it, meaning they drop a comment or leave you a message or fill out the form, whatever like next step you give them. If 5 people say, tell me more about it, usually means that offer will scale. All high ticket sales begin with curiosity. And if they won't give you curiosity, they won't buy it. Just like if I say, Celia, I say, hey, my neighbor Paul over there, he's interested in dating you. If you say, no, I would never date Paul. I don't need to run ads and Loom videos and automations and all that. But if you say, yeah, Paul's kind of cool, I'd be down to chat with Paul. Then I go, okay, I can probably set you up for a date. So like, it's the surest way to find out if they're going to pay you money. But most people have false expectations. They think hand raisers, they're looking for people to ninja hurl credit cards at you. And that's not what they do. They just say, tell me more about that. And if they go, tell me more about that, I know they'll buy it at the end of the road. So I'm like, okay, cool. You guys will see me. For those of you guys who are in my Facebook community, the Beyond Agency Profits, Agency Lifestyle Design, that group, you'll see me use hand raisers all the fucking time. If you recognize what a hand raiser is, you'll see me use them all the fucking time. Would you guys be interested in blah, blah, blah? That's me testing. Would you guys buy this shit? If I built the shit, would you buy it? And if nobody says, and not enough people say me, I don't build it. But if people go, me, then I build it. And I know it's going to sell at the end of it. Or maybe synergizing deliverables being an upsell agencies plus digital. There's no have to's, dude. It's whatever you want to do. That's the hardest part of this is entrepreneurship doesn't come with step 1, step 2, step 3. You got to like solve problems. It's like solve their problems in the simplest, easiest, fastest way that you can. They ask about this because of previous experiences and situations, and they believe it's a fair and clearly defined limitation considering how specific their niche is. My messages got separated. Sorry. Yeah, it depends, right? Like, honestly, in your case, if it's such an obscure niche that you're probably not going to take a competitor on anyway, then I probably wouldn't lose any sleep over it. But it is an unusual request to say, after you break up with me, you can't date anyone for a year. So it's negotiation. It's like, hey, you want me to do this extra big ask, I'll do that if you commit to a year up front. Like that's a perfectly reasonable response as well. Let me just see. We got 2 more little quick questions. Igor says, does anyone use AI agents in their workflows? If so, for what? All kinds. That's anything like that's manual can be like, I'll tell you, the biggest thing is just we do outbound text, and then we use AI automations to handle the workflows, like when they respond. So 2 biggest tools we're using are one called Retail, which answers the phone, and another one called CloseBot that does the text closing. So like GHL will message somebody, that somebody says, I'm interested. whether that's a text or a call. We use one of those AI tools to manage the response. That's the biggest thing we're using it for. Someone can make a whole biz out of rewriting podcast pitches for experts. So many pitches are terrible, like the one in the image, and focus on the wrong things. Yeah, we actually happen to have a podcast product for those of you guys who are interested in getting on podcasts. I've been in probably like 1,000 of them, and there's a formula that just works. And so if you guys are interested in that formula, we got it, but for sure. Let me get the last question from the document, and I'll come back to the chat. These are all I'm reading off a document, just so you guys know, of all the questions in the community. Praise God, agency life. Let's go. First sale with new merchant terminal. We now have 3 docs onboarding. Goal is 30 by Christmas, and Santa should be good to us this year. Thanks for giving me the passion and purpose once again to work from anywhere in the world with no ceiling on our income. That's Vincent sharing a little $2,079.80 transaction on a new merchant. He's got 3 of those. That's exciting when that happens for you in a new business. Yeah, that's what I always say. The difference between mentally going, I don't know if I can ever make this business work. Maybe I'm not cut out for it. And I don't know if I can do this, to holy shit, like it's really going to work and I'm going to make a bunch of money, is usually like 3 to 5 people. It's like maybe 3 to 6, 10 if you're pricing yourself really low. So like, even if you're struggling, the difference between you struggling and actually having a really good month is like, people you could all sit around a restaurant table. Like you don't need a lot of them. That's the magic of our business model. High ticket recurring. You really don't need a lot of them. Paul, how do you nurture leads by text and then close them with Loom? I'm gonna go deeper on that in a video. Like I already recorded. It's gonna be released, but it's basically like what I call my 4 buckets of conversion. But I'll give you the 2 pieces most people miss. Before it, I pre-sell them on what you're doing now sucks, and here's a better way of doing it. Most people don't realize that's 80% of the sale. So like if you do Facebook ads, before you send them to a video going, here's how much I charge for Facebook ads, you got to convince them that they should be running Facebook ads in the first place, even before you tell them about your service that does it. Otherwise, that video is not going to convert very well because they're not going to be bought into that. I call that pre-selling the plan. That's what I do beforehand. Is I just say, hey, it sounds like you're doing this and it sucks because of that. If I were you, I'd do this new and better way, and here's why it's better. A lot of you guys are here from that. I call that format old plan versus new plan. It works. So a lot of you guys, I say, hey, like everybody in the agency space teaches cold DM and send in trying to get everybody on calls. And that only ever left people like feeling burnt out, like it's totally soul sucking. And you spend all your time trying to chase people when you could just publish it in a shoe store, have people come to you, and then close them on video. And that's way more fun because they come to you and you don't even have to like jump on calls with them, right? That's old plan versus new plan. Old way, it sucks. New way, it's better, right? So I make sure to do that before they get to the video. And then after, the nurturing goes deeper on let me show what it would look like for you, right? So like if I was trying to follow up with you selling a video package, I'm not. You're only really interested in what a video would look like for you. So like, hey, I would use this kind of demonstration for you. This is how I present your process. This is how I would price your thing. This is the action I would get them take next. This is how I would set up your onboarding, right? Those details matter to you because you want it done for you, right? So I just go deeper on what the implementation steps would look. And every time I go deeper on those steps, before I show them the step, I remind them of the thing they want. Hey, you want mommy makeover patients? That's why you need to make your website say mommy makeover guy. Here's the changes I would make to your website to make you the mommy makeover guy. How many cold DMs can you safely send per day on Facebook? I don't know the number to that, but I never cold DM people really like most people traditionally do. Okay. So I only DM people in 2 circumstances. Okay. And these make the DM warmer and therefore less obnoxious. Okay. Scenario 1, I post a hand raiser and say, who would be interested in blank? And then 50 people say me. Now I message those 50 people. It's not cold. You said you wanted to hear more about it. Right? I actually just did this. I'm building an entrepreneur community here locally. There's a need for a entrepreneurs meetup, and I didn't want to do it, but nobody's doing it. So I'm like, I'll build it because I just need cool entrepreneur friends. So it's like, hey, we're finally building this meetup. Drop a comment if you want to be part of it. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to be part of it. Okay. People say me. I got like 96 comments. I haven't responded to them all. But if they say me and then I message you, like, it ain't weird. That's not a cold DM. That's a warmish DM. Second thing is, I respond to people if they post in a community asking a question, then I will then cold DM them about their question. So somebody says, hey, we're like, if I'm in a restoration community and they say, hey, we're trying to get more mold jobs these days, then I would say, hey, Dave, I saw your post about trying to get mold jobs. So those are the only two people I ever message. It's like people who've responded to a hand raiser or people post a question and I message them about their question. So I don't think you need to cold DM people on social media. Like this whole idea that you just got to internet blast, it's so unfocused, it's so untargeted. It's like, I call that the clob. I don't know if you guys ever played GoldenEye. I played GoldenEye back in the day, the N64 GoldenEye. And there's a weapon in the game called the clob. It's this low power rifle. And when you shoot it, it sprays all over the place and it never shoots the same place twice. So if you hit somebody, it's totally by accident. Like the clob shoots one bullet over there, one over there, blah, 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 it just sprays all over the place. If you do that, you will shoot something every now and then. But I way prefer to like grab a sniper rifle and go, got that one, right? So I know everybody teaches growing the agency with the spray and the pray, but I would way rather rifle target somebody who's like raised their hand or asked a question. There's so many of those people. Why would you need to message strangers and be like, buy my shit? When there's people like asking questions of like, I'm trying to grow my business and I got this problem. What would you do if you were me? Go talk to that guy because he's almost invited you in the door. Why do you use CloseBot when GHL has its own appointment booking bot inside the workflow? I don't know. To be honest with you, if I'm being real with you, I have a mastermind of about 100 really cool agency owners, and I crowdsource my tools. So I just say like, hey, what's the best tool for doing blank? And I get 5-10 opinions on what it is. And usually there's like one or two that really stand out. And I try not to reinvent the wheel. So that's one of the benefits of being part of a mastermind is you can crowdsource your problems. I could spend a week trying to figure out which tool is best, try GHL, set it up. But, here's 6 people who said, well, I tried GHL and it sucks for these reasons, but I really like CloseBot. I just trust their opinion. That's if you want the honest answer, it's blind trust in my mastermind members. Do you run under your name when you're running ads to gather interest, or do you run under a business name? Usually business name, Heather. For many, many reasons. I personally usually put my name and face on stuff in the ads, but you don't necessarily have to. I do it just because it's easier for me to just like make a little video, start talking. As you may have noticed, I got a big mouth. So, but you don't have to do it that way. When you did the digital omnipresence, did you synergize it with their $100 billion? I'm sure you meant bill, which was getting them motorcycle cases. I actually didn't in this case. I just did it with the whole like, you're spending all this fucking money to generate traffic. It's the most expensive niche on earth, and 95% of it gets lost and wasted. Give me a few $100 to go follow up with it for you, and I'll bring you like, I bet you I can bring you one out of every 20 back to you that would have not otherwise bought from you just by making your shit show up everywhere. And usually those guys that I'm selling digital omnipresence to, in my case, they were real world omnipresent, meaning they ran radio, billboards, TV. So they already understood the power of omnipresence. I was just like, I called it the 1 + 1 + 1 = 10 effect, right? In reality, if you run one TV ad, one radio ad, and one billboard ad, it should be 1 + 1 + 1 = 3 because you got 3 places they saw you. But in reality, it's like more like 1 + 1 + 1 = 10 because they saw one radio ad, one billboard, one TV, and now you're a big deal in their world. They're seeing you everywhere. So I do that with all my shit. If you guys, by the way, if you guys ever click on any of my shit, you'll notice you get retargeted to fucking oblivion. So you're seeing digital omnipresence on my own stuff. Oh my God, this sounds like something I have been putzing with. It's not my wheelhouse. I know if you have any, I want to buy it now. I don't know what you mean by that, Bob. Oh, software you. Yeah, I don't necessarily software and all that is not my specialty, but cool thing is we have a mixture of people inside the mastermind. Some of them are really techie, right? So if I have a question about techie, I can or any of the tech, I can figure it out really quickly by just asking. Then we got some people that are really good at selling. So if I ask a sales question, like people are good at selling, and then there's people really good at Facebook ads and SEO, and so like, and AI solutions and automations and workflows. So I'm like more and more I try and crowdsource every problem I have. Like give it to the smart people and let them figure it out. And they do the same with me. Like it's a two-way street. It's like I'm like I encourage it. It's the whole point of a mastermind. Why figure it out when we got 100 people collectively who can figure it out with you that already know what they're doing? How many clients do I have now? This is the smallest client roster I've ever had. Just so I do um, partnership stuff and deal making stuff. So the most clients I've ever had, just is probably about between 150 and 170, somewhere in that range. And it was like I had all operations problems at that point. I didn't have any sales or acquisition problems. I had all kinds of fulfillment and hiring, and there's all kinds of like drama. Team members quit last minute, shit like that. There's just like I had those problems. Right now, I just do small number of elite partnerships. So like, I got a guy, for example, we're working on like what I think will be a $5 million partnership. I don't need a lot of clients when you got one guy you're doing 5 million with. I do a lot more for those individual clients, but my client roster, just so you know, is like I have less than 5 partnerships. And then I have probably about 15, 20 clients that have been just with us for eternity in our agency thing. And I'm intentionally not trying to sell those people. I don't try and sell those people, mostly because I don't need to anymore. Right. Like it just doesn't I just like, to be honest, like to me, it's a lifestyle business. I'm not trying to like have a 9-figure exit. Like I know I got a guy actually, I just interviewed him, Jason Hennessy. They're trying to get to 500 million in their agency. They're at like 175 million and they're working at 500 million. I'm like, that's fucking gangster, but I have no desire to do that. None. I don't like, that's just at that point, it doesn't even sound fun to me. Like to me, I'm like, that's why I'm more beach, less laptop. I want to be at the beach and my business supports that. It supports my family doing what we want, but it's not the business, if that makes any sense. Can you talk a little bit about a test offer? Test offer to me is like, so what most people think an offer is, Heather, is actually not even correct in the first place. Is they think it's a service in exchange for money. And to me, that's like you go to a restaurant and they say, we'll cook you some food. I fucking hope so. Right? Like that's the whole point. But an offer is when you get into specific of like this specific outcome. We got a bacon cheese double burger with fries, waffle fries, and a side of coleslaw for $19.99. That's an offer, right? So the agency equivalent of that is not I'll run some ads for you or I'll make you 10 videos for 2K. It's way more akin to which type of person you're going to get them, how many of them, by when, and for what cost. For example, I'll give you ours. When we did the restoration stuff, it was we'll bring you between 50 to 100 category 3 residential flood job phone calls each and every month. And it takes about 6 months for us to rank you. But once that 6 months is finished and kicks in, you're going to see a steady stream of 50 to 100 calls each month. Okay. So what they're not buying is my SEO and pay-per-click that gets them the calls. They're buying, firstly, the type of call. So those are the jobs they got paid on. Like a lot of their jobs in their world, there's insurance delays and all kinds of like insurance bullshit. So they wanted the ones you get paid on right away. So that's the first thing. I'm bringing to bring you the who is the people you get paid on. The how many is 50 to 100 of them. And by the way, my white label partner said all day long I can get 100 to 200 of them. So I actually undersold it, not oversold it. I'm like, if you're sure you can get 200, let me tell them I can get 50. And I'd rather them be, excited the other way. By when it takes 6 months to rank a website at least. So that was like, and then the cost in our case was $2,800 a month. So that was like how we did the offer. And like most people, they can tell me what their solution is, but they can't tell me what it does for the client. So in your case, like you mentioned, your tool is the user generated content and videos, or at least it has been up till this point. You may shift that in the future based on our conversation today. But nobody cares about user generated client videos. They want to sell product X, right? So to me, your offer is closer to, hey, we can sell your weight loss supplement 99 lean and probably get you an extra 100 people this month for $2K a month using our user-generated content videos, right? So it's really about, to them, what it's going to do for them. That's what they care about. And if you can nail that, you can make offers easily. And then the other piece of the offer is, if you can contextualize that with what problem it'll alleviate that they're experiencing now. So you mentioned you work with e-commerce stores. I'll give you a daily problem a lot of these guys have is they run a lot of Facebook ads and they sell a lot of products and they ship a lot of shit, but the margin is teeny tiny, razor fucking thin. And what they're trying to do is get Facebook ads cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And by the way, do ad costs go up or down over time? Up, always up, right? So if you're trying to get cheaper ads, like, you're not going to win that game. And so, to me, if you focus on the hey, I'll sell this thing and get you some margin, like, that margin problem where you're trying to scale Facebook ads, well, we can get you 100 of your 99 lean extra people with these little user generated content videos, so you have some meat on the bone left over at the end of the month. That's going to be closer to an offer than what most people do, right? So most people just go, hey, I'll make you a website, a GHL automation, and those are all tools, but they don't care about the tools. What matters to them is, what is the tool going to create for me in my reality? And here's an interesting thing. If you do the exact same deliverable for two different niches, it'll create two different outcomes, which means it's two different offers. So like if I ran Facebook ads for a dentist and a personal injury attorney, for the dentist, I might sell Invisalign patients. For the lawyer, I'm going to sell motor vehicle accident cases. Those are two different offers, even though it's same Facebook ads, right? I'll get you Invisalign patients. I'll get you motor vehicle accident cases. Those are different offers, same deliverable. So what you have to get clear on is what it's going to do for your client. It sounds really simple, but like, most agencies can't tell me what it does for their client. They can just tell me what it is. And what it is and why they want it are different things. And you're really answering, why do you want it, not what it is. AI voice receptionist, that's what it is. But why do you want it? Because you never have to answer spam calls anymore, and we can just book the homeowners straight into your fucking calendar. That's why. That's my offer. For $4.97 a month, I'll make it so you never have to talk to Angie's List, Google spammers, or people looking for a job. And all day, every day, I'll just put homeowners straight on your fucking calendar. We got a guy who's doing that for like a big franchise named George. And George was saying that he actually set it up for a client. And he was doing the onboarding, and their AI system booked somebody 3 minutes after they did it. And so he was like, how's that for a fucking outcome? Like, trying to show you my AI receptionist works. And they had a lot of call volume in their case. But he was like, I'm not even finished onboarding you, and we got the first person booked. That's what it's going to do for you. But what they don't care about is your GHL, retail, all the tech side of it. It's like if you go to a personal fitness trainer, and like, let's say you're trying to fit into a wedding dress. You just want to know, can you help me lose 20 pounds so I can fit into this wedding dress? What you don't care about is the process. Oh, we're going to do kettlebells and weekly accountability, and you're going to drink broccoli shakes. I'm not saying that stuff matters zero, but before that stuff matters, you want to know, can you actually get me in shape by this date? Because I'm getting married. Yeah, I'm nodding over here like you can see me. I've seen this more than once, just so you know. I've seen it more than a few times. Who pays the call fees if you're selling an AI receptionist and in the free trial? Wouldn't recommend you sell it as a free trial. You can actually sell it. Like, I was talking to Sean Clark. We got a video that we're releasing on this channel. For those of you guys who are not familiar, Sean, he's the founder of Go High Level. It's actually High Level, but everybody calls it GHL. But anyways, they have a pay-per-use thing. So you can actually say to a client, like, hey, I'll just install this thing, try it out for a month, and you guys just pay when you use it, and it would book stuff for people. And then you just make it metered. The more they use it, the more they pay you. And it's the easiest fucking sale in the world. I don't know the tech side of that, but like, High Level has that capability. That's how I'd sell it. How do you automate onboarding? There's two parts to onboarding that I think are equally important. So the first part of onboarding is the part people miss. And this comes out of something called buyer's remorse. So when people buy something expensive, their first thought is, did I make a mistake? Am I going to look stupid? Am I going to have to tell people I fell for a smooth talking salesperson? Am I going to look stupid for this? It's kind of an unconscious thing, but it's called buyer's remorse. And part of the reason is they've just bought so many things that didn't live up to the hype. So they start wondering, did I make a mistake? Am I going to look stupid? And so the way you address buyer's remorse is what I call the grand welcome. Is you go, oh my God, we're so excited to have you, and you do some things. So like for us, one of the things we do, as soon as a new person buys, it creates a project management thing that tells my VA, mail that person some cookies and some brownies and send them a handwritten letter in the mail. It takes Karen 5-10 minutes to set up. But as soon as somebody buys, cookies go in the mail. There's a service called Edible Arrangements we use. They're known for like fruit baskets, but they also have like cookies and brownies. And I use them because they're lightning fast. So we've had clients sign up at 9 o'clock and Edible Arrangements is at their door by noon. It's like fucking unreal. So they sign with us at 9 and now they're wondering, did I make a mistake? Knock at the door. Hey, welcome. We got your brownies. Really? Who got us brownies? Oh, that new guy you just hired. Addresses the buyer's remorse. Grand welcome. So we automate it that way. We automate the grand welcome. It's always the same shit. Like we don't reinvent the wheel. Every client gets the same damn thing. We just personalize one sentence on the letter and that's it, but it's always the same. And then there is the getting passwords. And there are some tools that can assist you depending on what your service is with getting passwords, logins, basically the info you need to get started. We use one called Leadsy. It makes it so the client clicks a few buttons and goes allow, 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 and then we're in their account. And they go. So for us, automating onboarding is they buy, send them some cookies, drop the handwritten written letter in the mail. Thank you. We're so excited. We appreciate you. Hey, we need some access to info. We send them an email that's like templated. Click this button on Leadsy, allow, allow, allow. That's it. We're done. We're in. That's automated onboarding for us. Free trial if you don't have clients yet. I wouldn't sell it as a free trial. Sell it as a pay per use if you're getting started. Sell it as just try it out. Pay if you use it. But I'm not against free trials, but you don't want to use free trials to beg people to work with you. You got to be very, very clear that if you do a free trial, you want to aim it at people who have influenced your industry. So like, for example, I have a friend named Seth, and Seth has the biggest law firm in Washington, DC. So like, if you go to Washington, they're huge, right? And he built his law firm by just getting really good at SEO. Like so when I had digital omnipresence in mind, the first person I reached out to is Seth. Let me do this for you, and I'll do it completely for free. I just want to be able to use you as a case study. I wasn't begging anybody to use it. Seth is like across the country. He speaks at a lot of conferences. He's his law firm's really well known in the industry, not necessarily outside of it. And it'd be like the digital equivalent of like, I'm going to do some free shit for Alex Hormozy, because I know when I say, hey, I'm doing this for Alex Hormozy, everybody's going to want it, right? So if you give away free trials, I'm not against it, but don't just beg anybody in your industry to work with you. Think bigger than that. Think how I can get somebody influential and strategic on my free trial so that when I go show person 2, I'm like, hey, I'm already doing it for somebody you would know over here, so that it does most of the converting for you. Or if you're going to do it for anybody, just do it as a pay per use. Like try it out. And if they're worried about spending too much, just say like, I'll cap it at $400 your first month, so you won't go over 400 or whatever. But you don't want to use free trials to beg people to work with you. If you're going to use them very fucking strategically. SEO and Google ads together, it's what's needed to guarantee 50 to 100 leads per month. In that industry, just so you know, I actually had no idea what to expect. I just went to my white label partner. I said, have you worked in restoration before? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, so when you do SEO and like pay-per-click, like what's a typical result you get? And he was like, usually like 100, 150, sometimes 200 calls a month. And I said, great. I said, you think you can do that? No problem. He's like, yeah, we're running it in these industries. That's what we're doing. Cool. I'm going to promise 50 to 100. That's how I came up with that. But it's, it's different in different industries. And also like, some cities are more expensive than others. I wouldn't say, to me, I just talk to my partner. If I didn't know how many I could realistically get, I would just focus on the who I'm going to bring them. In my case, I'll bring you the jobs you get paid on. That was actually the most important detail, way more important than the number. They don't care about the number as much as the bringing them the right people where they actually make a profit margin off of. How do you spell Leadsy? Close. It's like that. Leadsy makes it so that it's a couple clicks to get access to ad accounts. because part of it was just, it was a pain in the ass trying to explain to lawyers. Like when we did Facebook ads, I feel like Facebook ads is the most complex system to get access to because they have a business manager, they got a page, and they got an ad account. And like the number of times I say to a client, yeah, we have your ad account, but we don't have your page. We don't have your business manager yet. We have one of the three things we need. And I just got so sick of explaining that shit and like jumping through hoops to tell you, yeah, Facebook does it really dumb to just like go on Leadsy, click these buttons. All right, we're in. Thanks for coming out. So your white label guy did your fulfillment on the $100 bill for water restoration. Correct. Now that you have to have a white label partner, the reason I did it, just so you guys know, with a white label partner is because I had about 6 things going on, like being a serial entrepreneur. So I had, firstly, I had like partnerships. So I got active partnerships. I got grandfathered clients who've been with me for eternity. I have agency coaching and mentorship that I do. We do some real estate stuff. I wouldn't say I'm a big real estate investor, but I do some investing. And then it was like, I'm going to grow a restoration agency. That was like priority number 5. So I didn't really have a lot of time to dedicate to do it. So I was like, literally, how can I grow an agency in less than an hour a day? Because that's all I can put towards this. And so I was like, well, I can't do any of the fulfillment right now. I just like, I got to pick one or the other. And right now it needs sales. So, but you know, if you got more time, like I would probably fulfill on that myself, and if I could, and keep the whole margins. But it was, you know, for me, just so you know, the 90-day challenge came out of, I got asked between 50 and 100 times in the last 7-8 years, word for word, people ask the same question. Like, if you're me, you're starting over, you want to get to 10K a month as fast as humanly possible, what would you do? If you were me, you're starting over, you want to get to 10K a month as fast as humanly possible, what would you do? If you were me and you're starting over and you want to get to 10K a month as fast as possible, what would you do? Like over and over and over, same question. So I had been contemplating the question for a long time, and I was like, should I make a course? Should I make a training? And I thought about it as, if I make a course, you know, like people get stuck in the implementation steps. If I made a training, it would just lead to asking further subsequent questions. I was like, but if I just do it and document it, then whenever anybody asks me, I'll say, this is what I would do, because that's what I actually did. And so that was the whole purpose of it. Was in my mind, I was like, I never want to answer that fucking question ever again. I'm like, whenever anybody asks, I'm going to go copy paste. This is what I would do. I don't want to answer it anymore. So that was like my selfish motivation, but I had to do white label because it was just like, it wasn't an option for me to do it all. Do you think PPC and SEO is good along with your upsell agency? I wouldn't do pay-per-click and SEO with upsell because it's far from the whole stuff. What PPC and SEO kind of do together is the pay-per-click is almost instantaneous. Like it's not 100% instantaneous, but you can turn on ads and they can start generating calls like pretty quickly. And SEO is more of a long-term thing. So kind of what I was doing is like a mixture of, we'll get you some calls right away, but these are going to be the most expensive ones. And then let's build a long-term solution so you get regular calls at a lower price. That was kind of the reason for both. Do I recommend white label services for different $100 bill or just the same agency? It's kind of like the analogy I use, Jason, is it's like a restaurant. Okay. Like running an agency is like a restaurant. Okay. So a restaurant has a clear front of house and has a back of house. So I've worked both at a restaurant. When you're the back of house, you just cook shit. Like you go in sweatpants. I remember I'd have to wear a hairnet and sweatpants, and you got an apron on, you get fucking dirty and you cook food, but you have one focus, like make really great fucking food and send it out. Like everything's got to be done right. And you send it out. When you do front of house, you don't cook anything. It's all about charm the guest and like, oh, your hair looks lovely today. Sure, I would love to. You guys need anything? You guys need anything? Like that's front of house. It's charming the guests and making them feel like you're attentive and you care and all that. And when you're front of house, you gotta like brush your hair and you gotta put on a shirt and you gotta look nice and you gotta shower and all that stuff. So like they're different roles, right? To me, generally speaking, running an agency, you're going to be stronger at front of house or back of house. And usually like you can figure out both. In the beginning, I was actually really good at back of house. Like I knew how to do SEO, but not how to sell it. And I spent 10 years figuring out how to sell it. And I realized that front of house was way more fun for me than back of house. And so, can you do front and back of house? Of course. But generally speaking, you're going to be better at one than the other. And so the reason I did it that way is because I'm better at the front of house. Let's go charm the guests. Back of house, like Somebody else cook the food. I found a guy who knows how to make great food. Let me go sell his food and I'll mark it up. Yeah, if you're better at front of house, it's useful to have a white label partner. If you guys want, this is our white label partner list. I'm gonna just paste it in the chat for you guys. So these are basically the people that to make this list, you basically have to have people in my world saying they had good experiences with you. Doesn't mean they're perfect, by the way. You know, they're still humans and you got to evaluate them on your own. But this is our like sort of pre-approved vendors list. Anyways, guys, I realized it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like I said, I had a car accident yesterday and it was a messy whole thing. And I got a bunch of shit to deal with from that. So we're going to go take her easy. Actually, my guy who was just here last night pulled out because I forgot some shit in his car. So I'm going to sign off, tell you guys happy Monday. Appreciate you guys. And see you guys in the next one. And, you know, may the Triforce be with you.